At Lidl, the countdown is on for spectacular Hogmanay deals, with 20% off a range of McKinley's pies with Lidl Plus, like hearty McKinley's Hogmanay steak pie. What better way to ring in the new year? Lidl, more to value. 18 plus Scotland only, while stocks last. Terms apply. See lidl.co.uk/LPTV. Ends 31st December.
Are you one of the 1.5 million UK customers that have used MedExpress for your healthcare journey? If not, accessing treatments for sexual health is now easier than ever. You don't need to visit your GP or pharmacy. Just complete a short online consultation to find the right treatment for you. We'll send your treatment directly to your door, delivered to you in discreet packaging with ongoing support from our experienced UK-based medical team. Take the first step towards managing your health concerns with confidence. Visit medexpress.co.uk to learn more.
You can't do much in under 5 minutes. Boil an egg? Sure. Cook a roast dinner? No chance. But comparing car insurance prices with mustard.co.uk? Easy. See what you could save in just a few minutes. Click mustard.co.uk. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. See website for details.
Welcome to Max Millions, the casino with winnings that are in a completely different universe. Max Millions. Make a splash and win up to 500 free spins playing Storm to Riches, plus dazzling daily jackpots on fluffy favourites and Big Bass Splash. Take your seat at maxmillions.com. New players only, £10 minimum deposit, terms apply, 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Please play responsibly.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.
It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard. A massive day in the Scottish Premiership with Celtic travelling to Livingston and Rangers at home to Motherwell. Also at 3 o'clock, St Mirren take on Kilmarnock. Dundee host Falkirk. There's Aberdeen against Dundee United a bit later on, and there is a huge shock going on in the Edinburgh Derby right now. I'm Andrew Maclean. Joining me in the studio are Kenny Miller, Cammy Bell and Hugh Keevins.
The battle lines are in the process of being redrawn in the Premiership. Hearts are currently being humbled by Hibs 3-0 with 20 minutes to go. What can Celtic and Rangers now do this afternoon to make Derek McInnes's day even worse? There are 6 points between Celtic and Hearts. A win for Wilfred Nancy at Livy, and Celtic could go to Motherwell on Tuesday night with a chance of going top. 12 points between Rangers and Hearts. That gap could be cut in half by Tuesday if Danny Rule's side beat Motherwell today and do the same to St Mirren at Ibrox on Tuesday. Didn't see this coming, chaps.
No, definitely not. I mean, it's been a brilliant start to the game. Obviously, Hibs have been very strong throughout the game, but there's loads of really good games today. I think you look at the one at Ibrox for me, Rangers v Motherwell, high-flying Motherwell, who've been getting a lot of plaudits for the way that they play, but again, it'll be about them trying to get a result at Ibrox today, which Rangers desperately need to get the 3 points. So, yes, there's loads of good football to look ahead to.
Yesterday was maybe the worst Boxing Day of all time for football. Normally it is one of the best footballing days in the calendar. There was basically nothing on of much interest for us up here, Kenny. Today more than makes up for it though, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot going on today. Like you say, I mean, with this result that we're seeing right now at Easter Road, Celtic and Rangers simply must respond. It's an opportunity to gain ground at the top of the league, and there's no excuses. They have to respond. We will also find out Motherwell's title credentials. Are they able to go to Ibrox and produce a result? They've done it before. Can they do it again? And like you say, they're outscoring Rangers at the moment. They've conceded the same. They've got a better goal difference and currently above them. So they deserve to be there at this stage of the season.
Well, 4 games to bring you at 3 o'clock. The one that's ongoing at the moment that the guys were talking about, it's Hibs 3, Hearts 0 at Tynecastle. 74 minutes on the clock. It looks as if that one is done and dusted. Hibs have even looked as if they may be able to extend that lead at times. So we'll keep you updated with what's going on there, and we'll talk about exactly what that means for the league table and the title race. Is it going to get a bit closer as the day goes on? As the guys mentioned, can Celtic, Rangers, Motherwell take advantage of what is going on with Hearts today? And it is a big win for Hibs if it does stay the same, as Hearts make their way with Kizaridis, who has a brilliant strike that's tipped over by Salinger. But I was mentioning those 3 o'clock kickoffs, so we will go round the grounds, get the teams, get the build-up, and we'll start at the home of the Set Fair Arena. Livingston against Celtic. David Friel is there for us.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Andrew, and everyone. A cold old day here. Wilfred Nancy gave his Celtic squad Christmas Day off. Wanted to spend some time with his families, but they're back to work now, and as the guys were saying, this could be a massive game in the context of the season, unless there's a miracle at Easter Road. Celtic can cut Hearts lead at the top to 3 points. They have a game in hand to come in midweek. You do the maths, Andrew, a couple of wins, a few goals, Celtic could be top of the table.
I will just interrupt you there, David, because it's 3-1. Lawrence Shankland with a header. You said it would have to be a miracle for Hearts to get back into it. Well, they are a third of the way there.
We'll see what happens in the next 20 minutes. But as I was saying, if you do the maths, Celtic will be thinking, can they be possibly top of the league come Tuesday night? Wilfred Nancy won't be thinking that. He'll just be thinking about this game, and he can't afford to pass up this chance as he chases back-to-back wins after finally ending that nightmare run of 4 defeats at the start of his reign. Christmas week is normally hectic for all managers, but I think it's actually brought some calm for Wilfred Nancy. He's been able to get some valuable coaching time in. He gave his players a break during the weekend. I think you have to imagine Celtic are fired up for this one. They've got a strong squad out, they've got a strong team out, but the big team news is that Kasper Schmeichel isn't even in the squad at all. He is here at Livy, I have seen him, but he doesn't make the bench. We'll get an official reason for that soon, but I know there are a lot of Celtic fans out there who have been calling for Vuljami Sinisalo to get a chance as the Celtic number 1, and he does start today for the first time since a League Cup win over Partick in September. That is the only change from the Celtic team that beat Aberdeen 3-1 last weekend. I'll just run through it for you. So it's Vuljami Sinisalo in goals, back 3 of Tony Ralston, Austin Trusty and Kieran Tierney, Yang, Arne Engels, Callum McGregor and Luke McCown will be across the middle, with Benjamin Nigrin and Daisen Maeda up supporting Johnny Kenny. Subs for Celtic are Doohan, Scales, Yamada, Murray, Forrest, Simpson Pusey, Bernardo, Hatate and Donovan. I think we're all guilty of viewing this one as a bit of a tricky fixture for Celtic, but the stats don't really back that up, Andrew. Celtic have won their last 9 against Livy. They've scored 26 goals in those 9 games. We've won 4 in a row here. They have kept a clean sheet in the last 3 visits here. And I think you then throw in Livingston's struggles this season. The bottom of the league, they're 16 games without a win. They haven't won a game at all since August. So the plastic pitch could be awkward. It looks in good shape, to be perfectly honest. I think it's obviously a new surface at the start of the season, so I don't think there's any excuses for Celtic in that sense, and I think they really should have too much for Livingston today. David Martindale's very honest. His side are in a fight for survival. He's already snapped up 2 new players for January, Joshua Zimmerman and Emmanuel Danso. They're obviously not involved today. It's all about here and now for Livy, and anything they can get from Celtic will be a bonus. So I'll just run through the Livingston team as well. Jerome Prior in goals, Dan Finlayson, Ryan McGowan, Danny Wilson and Christian Montano at the back, Macaulay Tate, Mo Silla and Scott Pittman in midfield 3, with Lewis Smith and Stevie May supporting Teti Yengi. Subs for Livingston are Hamilton, Muirhead, Winter, Brennett, Sissoko, McLennan, Bukia and Lawwell. And I'll just give you that Celtic team just again. Vuljami Sinisalo in goals, Ralston, Trusty and Tierney at the back, Yang, Engels, McGregor, McCown, Nigrin, Maeda and Johnny Kenny. The referee in Livingston is Matthew McDermott and the VAR is Nick Walsh.
David makes a good point there when it comes to Wilfred Nancy. There was so much hysteria around his first few matches. People were calling for him to be sacked after 4 games. People were calling for him to be sacked after 3 games, 2 games. He got his first win, and since then it's not that busy Christmas period that we expect on Christmas week. It's been quiet, and maybe the narrative around him has helped, yes, with the fact he got a win, the manner of it as well, that Celtics could have scored way more goals than they did in that game. And he's now just had time on the training pitch to go away, have a quiet time of it, and it seems as if the narrative has really quietened down around Wilfred Nancy in that period.
But it just got noisy again because of what's going on at Easter Road. I do understand that Lawrence Shankland's fine header has made it 3-1, but I cannot see Hearts getting a draw, far less a win out of this game. And therefore, the pressure heightens for Wilfred Nancy and for Danny Rue, because Hearts have stumbled and Celtic and Rangers must take advantage of that. Was the win over Aberdeen a sign of a revival under Wilfred Nancy, or was it simply what Celtic deserved on the day? Livy, always a difficult place. I know that they've not had a good season. In fact, they've had a horror story. But Wilfred Nancy must win now. He must win in the eyes of the Celtic fans so that they can go to Motherwell on Tuesday with a chance of going top of the league.
That is the big thing. That's what it comes down to when you're manager of Celtic or manager of Rangers, that heat may have cooled off slightly for him at the moment, Kenny, but it'll come straight back if Celtic don't get a win today.
It'll come straight back if they don't win today. It'll come straight back if they drop points on Tuesday, and it will certainly come back if they were to lose the Old Firm game on the 3rd of January. So it's that's the nature of the business, and unfortunately for Wilfred Nancy, losing those 4 games, he's nothing in the bank. Absolutely nothing in the bank. So the minute there's any more drop points or again a poor result, it is going to come back to him straight away, because yes, he got the win and it was deserved, but it's 1-1-5. You know, that's not good enough. Yeah, it might be 1-1, but it's 1-5. It is nowhere near good enough. We said a few weeks back that Wilfred Nancy's need to go beat Aberdeen. He's going to need to go and beat Livingston, Motherwell, and then that takes you into the Old Firm game. So he needs to start getting results on a more consistent basis for that pressure to really, really ease off. And then maybe we can start talking about signs of revival.
As David said, the Celtic players had Christmas Day off, but this has been the first full week that Wilfred Nancy has had in his Celtic tenure to actually get the players on the training pitch in a consistent run, because it's been a game, couple of days training, which a lot of that will be recovery, and then another game. This is the first time that he'll have actually been able to have a prolonged period with the players. How vital do you think that will be for him coming into this game?
It's massive. Again, he's wanted that time, but again, it was just when he came in the door, it was about getting results. He didn't get them. He's had this week where he's been able to get the players on the training pitch, tried to get his message over, the way he wants to play, the intensity, the style that he wants to get drilled into his Celtic team. But again, today is all about winning. He needs to win the game today. He's got 3 games for me. I think these 3 games coming up between today, obviously Motherwell away on Tuesday, and then the Old Firm game, he can quickly turn this around. I think if he wins all 3 of them games, a lot can change in that week. So it's a big week for him, and today it starts the day at Livingston, because it looks on paper it should be a walk in the park for them, but we all know going to Livingston's a difficult game.
Livy have played 17 games and scored 17 goals. Therefore, they could hardly be called prolific, but Celtic are easy to score against. Now, that has to be the priority. They have to tighten up defensively. I'm not sure that Ralston, Trusty and Kieran Tierney look formidable in a defensive sense, and that's the one problem that Celtic have, as well as the lack of a striker. They don't have a striker. Johnny Kenny, I'm afraid, has only shown that he's not the answer.
When it comes to the goalkeeping department, a change that we don't see too often. Kasper Schmeichel is out. We've got to assume it is an injury of some description. David Friel says he's at the stadium but not in the squad whatsoever. We'll find out what the reason for that is. Voyami Sinisalo comes in. I think over the last few weeks, certainly, there maybe have been calls from Celtic supporters to maybe see a change in goal. So this is a big opportunity for Voyami Sinisalo, isn't it?
It is for Sinisalo to come in. I think it's a really good opportunity for him. I think he is the future, what they see to be the goalkeeper for Celtic coming in. He's not had that consistent run because obviously Kasper's been there, and yes, he's made a few mistakes of recent weeks, but I wouldn't write him off yet. I think Sinisalo coming in today, it's a good game for him. If he can keep a clean sheet, and will he play on Tuesday night? Obviously we'll hopefully hear why Kasper Schmeichel. I'm presuming it will be an injury if he's not on the bench. So yeah, listen, it's a good opportunity for him. He's 24-year-old. We all know he came up from Aston Villa a few years ago. He's had a few loans and a bit of game time for Celtic, but not on that consistent basis. So this is a great opportunity for him today.
I was going to go to Ibrox next, but we do have a technical problem there, and that is that Gabriel technically just isn't there yet. Hugh Keevins, he's claiming traffic, but it is the day after Boxing Day, so I don't know. Are you having that excuse? Traffic?
I know he spent his Christmas Day in Aberdeen. Serves him right. And now he'll have to come back here and get to his workplace. But this is a real test. Everything I said about Wilfred Nancy applies to Danny Rule today, because this is an unforgiving period in the season. Hearts are going to lose. Celtic and Rangers must capitalise. And Danny Rule has 2 home games. Motherwell today, St Mirren on Tuesday. He must take all 6 points. But Jens Bertel Askew, one of the stories of the season, because Mercedes Jens, as I call him, has been different class at Fir Park.
We will go to Ibrox after the next break, get the build-up and the team news from there. But let's go around the other grounds next. Let's go to the Smiza Stadium, St Mirren against Kilmarnock with Fraser Wishart.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you all had a lovely Christmas, a time where, of course, we all get a chance to put our feet up and relax, but that, of course, doesn't happen in Scottish football. It's pretty full on at this time of the season for the staff, the players, the coaches. I think Stephen Robinson will be absolutely delighted because the games are coming thick and fast with his team in really good form. We know they've got 3 wins in a row, including that great cup final against Celtic, and the league wins have seen them close the gap between themselves and the top 6, and today at home to a team on a terrible run of results. You have to say it's a perfect opportunity to get that winning run to 4 in a row. St Boss, we just simply want to keep the momentum going into the new year. Consistency of selection, players full of confidence. Only Keanu Bacchus with a long-term hamstring injury out of contention, but the same can't be said, unfortunately, for Kilmarnock. Their last win came on the 4th of October, and that was against St Mirren at Rugby Park, and at that point they were sitting in the top 6. Decent start to the season. Since then, of course, Stuart Kettlewell, assistant manager Stevie Frail lost their jobs. Chris Doolan is still caretaker, and in those 11 games since then, they've incredibly 9 defeats and 2 draws. So Chris Doolan does have a number of injuries to contend with as well, and a lack of confidence. Confidence amongst these players must be really low, and it'll be difficult for him to get a result here today. Defeat, and more like that Kelly will be in a 3-way fight to stay up for the rest of the season. Although they do have a decent record in recent years against St Mirren, they've won 6 and drawn 5 of the last 12, and that one defeat came the last time here in March. It was 5-1 to St Mirren. Hardly a ticket to be had. It's virtually a sellout for the home support. Very good away support here as well, and hopefully a few goals to keep everybody's festive spirits high. Team news, no surprise for St Mirren, unchanged. 11 and substitutes from the win against Livy last year, so the usual 3-5-2 formation. Jamal George in goals, Marcus Fraser, Richard King and Miguel Freckleton at the back, Conor McMenamin, Killian Phillips, Alex Gogic, Roland Dowu and Declan John across the middle with 2 strikers, Jonah Ayunga and Daniel Lundulu. Ryan Mullen, Jayden Richardson, Scott Tanzer, Fraser Taylor, Mark O'Hara, Malik Dyke-Steele, Liam Donnelly and Evan Mooney and Mikael Mandron are the substitutes. A couple of changes for Kilmarnock. Robbie Dees is suspended, having picked up 6 yellow cards. Liam Pollard drops to the bench. In comes Shielta Brown and Lowry. They go with Chris Doolan, who's changed their formation to 4-2-3-1. They go with Toba Uluwayemi in goals, James Brown, Ethan Shielta Brown, Lewis Mayo and Dominic Thompson across the back. Tom Lowry and Brad Lyons in midfield with Greg Kilty, David Watson and Tyrese John Jules behind the lone striker Bruce Anderson. Eddie Beach, Michael Williams, Marcus Dackers, George Stanger, Jack Thompson, Ben Brannan, Kane Leslie and Liam Polworth are the substitutes, and the referee, experienced duo today in the match official, referee Don Robertson, and VAR's Kevin Clancy.
Yeah, St Mirren obviously didn't start the season as well as they would have wanted to, Kenny, but just with the way St Mirren have been over the last 3 seasons, I don't think anyone was ever worried for them at any point. In the last 3 games, since that kind of run that hadn't been so good, 2 wins in the league, and in the middle of that, the small matter of a historic League Cup win. St Mirren sort of look as if they're getting back to the level that you'd expect they would be under Stephen Robinson.
Yeah, you're right. Again, I don't think you would ever have kind of put them into a relegation battle at any stage, to be honest. I mean, stranger things have happened, but you just feel when you watch them, again, you only got to look at the cup final and the way they play. It was just a typical Stephen Robinson team, typical performance. It was actually a very, very good performance, maybe doing them an injustice there, but they know what they're doing, they're well drilled, everybody fits into the place, there's no square pegs and round holes, everybody goes and does their job, and they work extremely hard for each other. So there was never going to be any questions about St Mirren getting dragged into anything, but they've found a way to win and get results off the back of it as well. And like you say, winning that cup final must have gave them incredible confidence and belief that they can actually start climbing the table.
The story there, Kenny, I mean, Kilmarnock, disastrous run. I mean, 2 points out of 33. Their last 33 points, they've won 2 of them.
Well, the same can be said about Kilmarnock. They are in a relegation battle at this moment in time.
Interesting with the Kilmarnock situation as well. Chris Doolan initially was stepping in to an academy role before he'd even been announced in that role. He was then given the interim manager's job after Stuart Kettlewell was sacked. Over the last week, there doesn't really appear to have been any talk at all of who the new manager could be, of interviews, anything like that. So another big opportunity for Chris Doolan today. But I think Kilmarnock fans will be wondering where this managerial hunt is going as Hearts have the ball in the net again. Cammy Devlin runs towards the halfway line, and it looks as if it's Hibs 3, Hearts 2 with 88.5 minutes on the clock. We will get back to that, but just on the Kilmarnock situation, Doesn't seem to be a new manager in sight anywhere.
No, again, there's not even a lot of names getting bandied about. Kilmarnock are in a relegation battle. There's no getting away from it. Their form this season's been terrible. They've been really, really poor. I think their squad, they've lost a lot of big players from last season. Obviously, Derek left to go to Hearts as well. So, yeah, they're in a real spot of bother. I know that there has been a lot of people putting their CVs in since the job's been vacant, but there's certainly not been a lot of names. Again, Alan Archibald, who's obviously assistant manager to Derek McInnes, has been linked. I think Peter Leaven. These guys are all assistant managers at this moment in time. So, yeah, it's a big game for Kelly today. They need to try and turn this around. They need to try and get points. I think a draw would be a good result for them today if they go to St Mirren and try and take something from the game.
Well, it's going to be an incredible finish to the Edinburgh Derby. 89.5 minutes on the clock. We'll bring you full time from there just after the break. We'll also go to Ibrox as well and get a bit of discussion about the big talking points in Scottish football.
Are you one of the 1.5 million UK customers that have used MedExpress for your healthcare journey? If not, accessing treatments for sexual health is now easier than ever. You don't need to visit your GP or pharmacy. Just complete a short online consultation to find the right treatment for you. We'll send your treatment directly to your door, delivered to you in discreet packaging with ongoing support from our experienced UK-based medical team. Take the first step towards managing your health concerns with confidence. Visit medexpress.co.uk to learn more.
The fastest goals, the expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Kenny Miller, Cammy Bell and Hugh Keevins here with me, Andrew Maclean, on Clyde One Super Scoreboard on what is a big day of Scottish football. We've got lots of good 3 o'clock kickoffs, but the action has started already. We are into injury time between Hibs and Hearts. Hibs had a 3-0 lead. Hearts have pulled 2 back and almost very, very close to getting an equaliser in the last few minutes. Hugh Keevins
standing beside a goalkeeper here. Chance for Hibs
big
to go
chance for Hibs to finish this off, but it's a save from Shvolov, and there will be another Hearts chance if they can get the ball up the park quickly.
Again, I'm standing beside Cammy, a goalkeeper, and we can't make up our mind whether the Hibs keeper made a great save or got lucky with Lawrence Shankland's effort, which was net bound, and would have made it 3-3. Lucky?
No, you've got to give him credit. I think there is an element of luck in it, but certainly you've got to give him credit. It was a brilliant save. It was a great hit from Shankland, and it looked like it was going to be 3-3, but the goalkeeper managed to pull his team out of it.
Well, we've still to go to Ibrox, we've still to go to Dens Park as well, but we may as well stick with this action for the next few minutes, because what happens in this game has a huge knock-on effect to what happens in this afternoon's matches as well.
Yeah, completely. It sets the tone for Celtic and Rangers, because if Hearts drop all 3 points and they are swarming around the Hibs goal in the final minute of time added on, if Hearts drop all 3 points, then the advantage there for Celtic and Rangers is huge. But Hearts have got a chance again for 3-3.
Into the box, and what a save it is once again from Raphael Salinger. Benny Beningame testing him this time, and Hearts have a corner with 40 seconds to go of the 6 minutes of injury time. Are Hearts going to get their goal, Kenny?
Listen, that was a good save then. It was, Benny Beningame does great, but it was they're strong for set plays, they're very, very strong. They're going to have a chance at the end. Goalkeeper's up and everything, so he needs to get the ball in the box, but it's, Hibs defending to see it out.
Yeah, the ball is out to Kizaridis. Surely this is going to be the last delivery of the game. It bounces all the way through, and that one goes out. Is it for another corner? No, it's kept in play by Raphael Salinger, and that should be the end of things at Easter Road. There is a huge cheer from the goalkeeper, who still has the ball in his hands, but that is going to be a massive, massive victory for Hibs, and it's going to be a blow for Hearts. People naturally will start to ask questions as it goes full time at Easter Road. It is only Hearts' second defeat of the season, and there was no lack of drama.
Well, there's your agenda for the afternoon. Hearts have dropped all 3 points, having beaten Rangers last weekend. They have redrawn the battle lines, and it's for Celtic and Rangers to respond. Nothing other than an away win at Livy for Celtic and a home win for Rangers against Motherwell will be sufficient for the Celtic and Rangers fans. Wilfred Nancy, Danny Rule, welcome to Glasgow. You are under some pressure now.
I tell you what, it'll also be the way the table is sitting, it will be a result that interests Motherwell fans as well. They are on their way to Ibrox. It's Rangers against Motherwell at Ibrox. Gabriel Antoniazzi is there for us.
Yes, good afternoon, Andrew. Merry Christmas all from here at Ibrox, and what a festive treat we have in store. High-flying Motherwell against Danny Rule's Rangers. If you told someone at the start of the season that Motherwell would be above Rangers after Christmas, I don't think they would have believed you. But that's how brilliant Jens Bertel Asku's team have been with their attacking, possession-based style of play. And that's how poor Rangers' start to the campaign was under previous manager Russell Martin. Now, Danny Rule brought his team some really impressive form recently, but that all came crashing down at Tynecastle last week, his first league defeat, and he makes a few changes, Andrew, from that match, with Aarons, Miovski and Moore all dropping to the bench for a new front three with Asgard, Gassama and Schmitti coming in, and we think that it's going to be a change in shape as well. It was 5 at the back last weekend, and this looks like 4. So it'll be Jack Butland in goal with James Tavernier, Dujon Sterling, Manuel Fernandez and Jayden Megoma as a back 4. Conor Barron, Nico Raskin and Mohamed Diamande in midfield with Tello Asgard and JD Gassama supporting Yusuf Schmitti up top. Now, of course, Gassama could slip into a wing-back role if required, but it looks like it could be a 4-2-3-1. The substitutes: Kelly, Suter, Aarons, Dowell, Curtis, Cameron, Moore, Miovski and Danilo. But as you said there, that huge result in Edinburgh coming in now could have massive ramifications for Motherwell as well. They're almost coming in under the radar, Andrew, because of how big the story is with Hearts being top of the table at Christmas and how impressive they've been. But they all fancy their chances here today to try and make up some pace on the leaders. 2 changes for the visitors here. Tom Sparrow and Ibrahim Said come in for Regan, Charles Cook and Callum Slattery. So it'll be Callum Ward in goal. The back 3, Johnny Katrumbis, Paul McGinn and Stephen Welsh. Emmanuel Longello, Lucas Fedinger, Elliot Watt, Tom Sparrow across the middle. Eli Just, Ibrahim Said supporting Callum. Hendry up top. The substitutes: Connolly, O'Donnell, Gordon, Slattery, Stamatolopoulos, Ozong, Priestman, Ross and McAllister.
Yeah, as much as we said it is important for Wilfred Nancy to follow up his first win as Celtic manager with another win, it's important for Danny Rule to not follow up his first league defeat with Rangers with another defeat or more drop points.
And incredibly, Motherwell going to Ibrox looking for their 3rd win in a row at Ibrox. So the pressure's all on Danny Rule and those Rangers players. They were perhaps unlucky that Miovski decided to try and put the ball over the line last week at Tynecastle. If Rangers had gone in front, I'm not sure that Hearts would have got all 3 points. However, they deserved the 3 points in the end, and today Danny Rule, it's Glasgow rules. Win defeats a draw is a disaster, a defeat's a catastrophe, a win is a must.
Kenny, you were saying this earlier on, please gamble responsibly everyone, but Rangers were not far off evens at home to Motherwell, and I think that really tells the story of where Rangers are at the moment, but also where Motherwell are at the moment as well.
Yeah, it speaks volumes for both teams, because normally you would be going to Ibrox as a Motherwell fan or player and you would be expecting a real tough day. You would be expecting Rangers to be overwhelming favourites. Today they aren't, and I think again, like you say, it speaks volumes for the job that Jens has done at Motherwell. You know, they've been outstanding to watch, again, scoring goals for fun, but also speaks about where Rangers actually are at this moment in time. They look like conceding goals, so that their backline has been chopped and changed over the course of the season with injuries, again, real lack of form and quality within that backline as well. So you look at Motherwell's front line and how exciting it is, how kind of bad and disjointed Rangers backline has been over the course of the season. It's got the recipe for a good afternoon, to be honest with you, at Ibrox, and I think it'll be a decent game of football.
Cammy, are you surprised at all at the inclusions of Tello Asgard and Yusuf Chermiti over Bojan Miovski and Mikey Moore?
Yeah, listen, I think when you look at Chermiti, he's started to, I'm not saying find form, but he looks a little bit better. He looks as if he's starting to get himself together, get to grips with the Scottish game as well. Listen, they've paid a lot of money for him. He came a huge price tag, so he's got to play games for Rangers. But these are games that Rangers need to win. Today, I don't know which Rangers you're going to see today. That's the problem, the inconsistency that they've shown this season. Motherwell is probably the hardest game they could get at the moment. When you look at the teams in the table and the form that Motherwell's been in, the consistency that they've been showing week in, week out, it's a really difficult game this for Rangers. But they must win. They've got to win today.
When you look at Motherwell, today could be an interesting day possibly for the narrative surrounding Motherwell, because I think a lot of outsiders looking in will say, oh, look, Motherwell are having a good season, but they'll fall away at some point. They're not going to be up there in the mix. If Motherwell go to Ibrox today and beat Rangers, you also just look at the numbers behind it, the number of goals Motherwell are scoring, the fact that they're barely conceding goals at the moment as well. They're playing, many people would say, the best football in the league. At what point do the sort of wider audience start to take Motherwell seriously at the top of the table?
Well, the phrase that's most in use at the moment is statement victory. Hibs have had a statement victory over Hearts today. Motherwell are looking for the same against Rangers. I didn't bring them into the conversation about the outcome of the title because I'm not used to thinking about Motherwell in the context of the title. I'm not used to thinking about Motherwell in the context of the top six. But Jens Bertel Askew has been a sensational appointment. He has brought a style of play that even our colleague Gordon Duncan, lifelong Motherwell fan, says he's never seen better. And he goes there calm, composed, believing he can get a result. And if they do, then that is the statement result. And you then have to consider them, because it would be illogical if you're still talking about Rangers being in the mix. Then if Motherwell go 4 points ahead of them, they must be in the mix as well.
Jens Bertel does strike me as the type of character that probably wouldn't mind them going under the radar in the work they're doing.
No, again, he's just going about his business quietly. Again, he knows the consistency has been there all season. They've got really good players as well, and the style of football obviously they're playing, the players are responding to it. So no, listen, I think he'll be happy going to Ibrox. Some people I'll see them as underdogs today, but I think Motherwell fans will be going there thinking they can absolutely get a result today. And again, when you look at the table, it's big. It's a big game for Motherwell today. They play Rangers and then obviously they play Celtic on Tuesday. So these next two games for Motherwell, I think they'll tell a big story of where they'll end up this season.
Because Motherwell are one of the teams that will benefit from this, Kenny. A lot of people will say there really isn't that fear factor for teams now. Teams that are either below Rangers in the league or even, Motherwell in the position they're at, that maybe teams don't go and fear Rangers at Ibrox anymore, that they don't really adjust their game plan too much to go and sit in, as a lot of teams maybe previously would, that they'll actually go and take the game to Rangers expecting that they can get a result.
Yeah, listen, I think it's twofold, to be honest with you. I think it is, you're rightly about where Rangers are, and they have lost that real fear factor of teams going there. I also think it's modern day coaching. Everybody else wants to go and show that they can play, even against the good teams, to show that they've got some tactical nous, that they can go somewhere and outsmart someone and things. But at this moment in time, Motherwell have earned that right to go there. They're above Rangers in the table after 17 games. They deserve to be there. They're outscoring Rangers. They deserve to be where they're at this moment in time. So they're quite rightly going into this game fully confident.
Well, that is the picture at Ibrox ahead of Rangers against Motherwell. What about Dens Park, Dundee against Falkirk? Roger Hannett.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. Andrew, it's a meeting this afternoon of two teams in the bottom six, but they've vastly contrasting first halves of the season. The newly promoted Bairns are sitting in 7th on 24 points. They're behind Aberdeen in goal difference alone, and a win or a draw here, they would have them back in the top 6 before the Dons kick off at 5:45. They defeated Dundee 2-1 back in October, and they'll be buoyed by last weekend's 1-0 win at Kilmarnock. Brian Graham scored the goal. Contrast that with the Dark Blues here down in 10th, just 13 points, and it's beginning to look as if they could be in a three-way fight for survival with rock bottom Livingston and manager Liz Kelly. Stephen Presley did lead in his return to the Falkirk Stadium a couple of months ago, but they were undone by Connor Allen's stunning solo winner right at the end. Falkirk haven't won at Dens for over a decade, and their last top flight victory, here's one for Hugh, back in 1992 when our own Jim Duffy was at the heart of the Dundee defence, and Kevin Drinkle hit the winner for the Bairns. So today's team's Dundee, a couple of changes from that defeat to Motherwell last week. Ryan Astley is back from a concussion to replace Mari Samuels, and Ethan Hamilton is back for the injured Finn Robertson in midfield. Hamilton will also take the captain's armband with Robertson out and Simon Murray only starting on the bench. So Dundee have John McCracken in goal. So back four: Ryan Astley, Luke Graham, Billy Kumetio and Dre Wright. The midfield holder is Callum Jones. Then it's a four of Cameron Congreve, Ethan Hamilton, Jan Danda and Tony Yogen. And up top, Ash Hay. On the bench, O'Hara, Ingram, Donnelly, Digby, Aqua, Samuels, Murray, Riley and Galabov. Falkirk, 3 changes surprisingly from the win at Kilmarnock. Keelan Adams is fit and returns. So do the Finn Yates and Ethan Williams. Out go Leon McCann, Henry Cartwright and Dylan Tate. So they've got Scott Bain in goal across the back. Keelan Adams, Connor Allen, Liam Henderson and Philip Lissa. Then it's Brad Spencer and Finn Yates in midfield with Cairo Wilson, Calvin Miller and Ethan Williams behind 38-year-old Brian Graham. On the bench it's Hogarth, McCann and Cartwright, Nesbitt, Edwards and Tate, Ross, Agyemang and Samuel Ogunsoy. The referee is Stephen McLean. The VAR is Ryan Lee. And it's very nice, Andrew, to be back in the Saturday show. As you'll know, Cammy and I missed it last Saturday. We were at a good friend's wedding, and I just need to ask, is he wearing the bow tie today?
No. Certainly not. Certainly not.
He was looking resplendent in the bow tie last Saturday. I wish I'd got a photograph for you, Andrew.
Roger, 1992. You brought it all back now. Sweden, European Championships, Scotland there, down the pub with Billy McNeil and Gordon Strachan. £24 a round. Those were the days.
I love how that is the one outstanding memory for you of the whole time. It's just the price of the round. It's very, very Hugh Keevins.
Oh, it was absolutely shocking.
I also can't believe that. No, we're not special enough, Cammy.
Listen,
no bow tie today. Just going for the t-shirt.
Nice and casual today. We're in the studio. Don't need to get dressed up. So the bow tie was looking well last weekend. I must say that myself.
How was Roger looking? Actually,
Roger was looking really good. To be fair, he was looking good. He was in good form.
Okay, good stuff. Just on that game, when you look at the league table, this is an important period for Dundee because this is the part of the season where maybe the table starts to take shape, and there's a 5-point gap between Dundee and St Mirren. St Mirren in 9th, they've played 2 games fewer as well, but Dundee don't want to find themselves cut adrift in that bottom 3 that's starting to form alongside Kilmarnock and Livingston.
I agree with Roger. I think you're talking about a 3-way fight. It's Dundee, Kilmarnock and Livy, and I don't think it concerns anybody else. Therefore today is vital for them. If they were to get a win, then they could contradict what I've just said, but wins don't come easily for Dundee. I think it's a 3-way fight. Dundee, Kilmarnock and Livy. One of them is going down, another one will be in the playoff, and that's the way it is.
Falkirk are now probably at a stage, Kenny, where if they're going away, games at home, and they're getting results, they're picking up points, they're getting wins, they're getting draws, that it's starting to not really surprise people, just given the way that John McGlynn sets up his team, how they play football and how good they've been so far this season as one of the promoted teams.
Listen, I thought they've been excellent. Again, they do have some really good players. I think the recruitment has been excellent. I look at Wilson and Williams, 2 players that have came on loan. Cartwright coming on loan, Lissa coming on loan. They've all been hits. You know, these are the types of hits that the Old Firm could be needing. You know, every player they seem to be going for is hitting the ground running and performing to the level that they should be. Again, young players coming on loan for down in England, so they've done a wonderful job there. John McGlynn's teams always play football the right way, if you want to call it that. But what they've done is that they've come up, and again, they may have surprised a few people. Like you've said, now, when you're almost halfway through the season, they're not surprising anybody. They are where they are. They'll be looking upwards rather than downwards.
Not long to go until kick-off in the 3 o'clock matches. We'll go back around the grounds next.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
What a start to the day's action in the Scottish Premiership. It was a thriller in the Edinburgh Derby. It finished Hibs 3, Hearts 2. It looked right at the death as if Hearts may have come back from 3 goals down to nick an equaliser, but it didn't quite happen for them, and it shakes up everything at the top of the table. There are now 4 3 o'clock kickoffs to bring you, which will start very, very shortly. Let's go back around the grounds quickly before we get the action underway. Let's start at the Smythe Stadium between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. Fraser Wishart is there for us. And Fraser, have you been surprised maybe at the lack of talk about the Kilmarnock managerial situation? There we go, Fraser. Fraser is back with us. I was just saying, Fraser, in terms of the Kilmarnock managerial situation, are you surprised that it seems to have gone quite quiet over the past couple of weeks?
Yes, apologies, Andrew. It was just my attention was drawn to something else there, but not really. I mean, I suppose the Stuart Kettlewell thing is dragged on for a wee while, with 3 or 4 games before he actually lost his job. People were talking about it, and you always expect clubs, no matter who they are, to have somebody in mind, because if the team's successful, the manager might leave, and if the team's not successful, you might have to get rid of them. But I think it's just a quiet week and I think it suits Kilmarnock and the board to just quietly go on with their job and let the focus be on the Old Firm, be on Hearts, be on all that title situation as well, because then you're not under pressure from your supporters, from the media to appoint somebody. But it's going to be a big appointment. I mean, there was a chat on the show today about the fact there might be a 3-horse race, you know, for the relegation, and certainly if Kilmarnock lose today against St Mirren, I think the gap between Kilmarnock and St Mirren will be too much for them to make up, certainly in the short term. So a big game today, I think, for Kilmarnock, but I can't really see anything other than a St Mirren win. I think St Mirren are just in such good form, good confidence, crowd will be behind them, party atmosphere. So for me, I think St Mirren will get the 3 points.
If Kilmarnock are going to find themselves down the bottom in that relegation scrap, is it important to get that manager in as early as possible, whoever it is?
Yeah, as I say, the run is potentially disastrous. Out of the last 33 points they have played for, they've taken 2. That's crisis time. They need an inspirational appointment. They need someone who can lift the place quickly and put together a run of reasonable results. Not ask them to win every week, just not lose every week. So today is a crucial game for them, but for the life of me, I can't see how they get 3 points out of St Mirren.
I suppose it will help having someone like Chris Doolan in the door, who has managerial experience in pressure situations, as he was at times at Partick Thistle, but on top of that, he's someone that knows the area. He lives in the area. He kind of gets what it means for the supporters.
Yeah, no, I know he lives just round the corner from the stadium, so he understands the club and what the fans are expecting. Listen, they're in a really poor run of form. The direction of the next manager, I'm unsure what the board are thinking. Do they look at something like where Motherwell went and think outside the box? It'll be interesting, because as I say, I don't think there's a name that's been bandied about that is a stick-out candidate for getting the job. Today, I think Kilmarnock just need to try and get a point and take it away from there, because they've got a massive game on Tuesday night against Dundee away. That's a huge game for Killie in the context of where they're going to be this season. So today's important that they try and get something from the game. I think Chris Doolan, it probably buys the board a little bit of time, because he's been a manager, he understands the role, and it'll allow them to see which direction they go in. So, but I think they need to start getting points on the board, because they are getting cut adrift.
Roger Hannah is at Dundee against Falkirk. People have talked about Falkirk just in general kind of defying the odds this season so far, Roger, but one man in particular that's maybe defying the odds is Brian Graham, 38 years old. Maybe some question marks about him being brought into the team, being brought up from the Championship at the age he is, but 3 goals in his last 6 games and starting again today.
Yeah, he does start again today, and listen, I think it was a wise move by John McGlynn to go and get him in the summer. If you remember, halfway through last season he went to get Scott Arfield at 37, and it's not just what these guys do on the pitch for Falkirk, Andrew. It's about what they do in the changing room, what they do at training, how they lift standards, how they take the young guys along with them. You always need experienced players like that who have seen it and done it before, and I think that's 2 really, really clever signings by John McGlynn. Now, listen, Arfield's not even in the squad today, but he is a crucial figure around the club, and Brian Graham is not only crucial around the club, but he has been contributing on the pitch. He got that win, and it was my goal of the week last Monday night on the show. Lovely team move at Rugby Park, finished off by Brian Graham, and he'll be a threat for these young Dundee centre halves today. Luke Graham and Billy Cometio, probably the first time they've come across Brian Graham. They will be in for a busy afternoon.
Yeah, Kenny, you were a striker that played for a long time, retired a bit later than a lot of others. Are you impressed by what Brian Graham is doing at the age he is?
Listen, I think when you've got any player, I mean, particularly forwards, because you see defenders or goalkeepers can maybe play on, but forwards need to look after themselves. They still need to be sharp, but you've just said that you still need to be contributing goals, and Roger's absolutely right. Experienced players, again, older players, they can bring so much more to help. Again, there's a lot of young players, a lot of young lone players in that Falkirk team. I'm sure he'll be taking a lot of them under the wing, and just looking at him every day and the way he'll probably go about. Again, I don't know Brian, but I'm assuming if you're still playing and you're at the top end of the pitch, you're doing things right off the field, you're looking after yourself, you're still in good shape, and again, you're getting picked to start in the game. You know, there's younger players in there that have had decent seasons as well, but again, John McGlynn's going with Brian up front, so it can only help all these little listy players I went through earlier, all these young lone players can only look at Brian Graham, and that's what it takes to stay in the game.
At the home of the Setfair Arena, David Free will be watching Livingston against Celtic. It has been quite the introduction to Scottish football for Wilfred Nancy. This will also be something new to him as well, David, because if you speak to Celtic or Rangers players that have come in and go to Livingston for the first time, they're always shocked at the fact that there are 3 stands of away supporters, that it sometimes has the feel of a home game, which can help you at times when things are going well, but if things start to go against you, can have the opposite effect as well.
Yeah, I think it will be a bit of a culture shock. I mean, the pitch is fine in terms of Wilfred Nancy will be more than used to plastic surfaces from his time, both working in Canada and in the MLS. But yeah, when he comes out and the place is just filling up just now, yeah, 3/4 of the stadium will be Celtic fans, so it'll be quite a kind of unique experience for him. I assume, Andrew, on Kasper Schmeichel, he's given an update to some other broadcasters, and he said that Kasper Schmeichel got an injection on Monday for an issue. He hasn't specified which issue. He hasn't recovered in time for this game, but should be back for Motherwell on Tuesday. So I say they'll have Jami Sinisalo starts in goals. And it's all there for Celtic today. They've got a chance to cut the gap. They'll be backed by a big travelling support, as you said. And they just need to start converting these chances. And there has been a lot of focus on the number 1 position and who plays in goals today. But I think it's also fascinating to see that Wilfred Nancy's stuck with Johnny Kenny up front. Obviously, so many chances in the last couple of games against Dundee United and Aberdeen. Andrew could have scored a hat-trick in each. You know, at times you wonder if he was going to get taken out of the firing line. He hasn't. He's put an arm round him and given him his support and put him back in the team. Shinya Mada's on the bench, obviously, to come on potentially. And I don't think it's any surprise that Celtic do need a striker. They've been linked to a million strikers already, just even the last couple of days. There's a few new names coming out. Ibrahim Diabate, an Ivorian striker playing in Sweden. Everybody knows about West Ham. Abu Ali, who plays for Columbus Crew, that Celtic are interested in as well. They will clearly go into the market, but for the time being they have to work with what they've got. Johnny Kenny is the man in possession of that number 9 jersey, and he has to go and show Wilfred Nancy what he can do and almost repay his faith, because I think it is a big call to stick with him given what's happened the last couple of games.
Yeah, it is a good point about Johnny Kenny, because if the chances keep on falling to him with the way that Celtic are playing at the moment, you expect that they would.
Yep.
He needs to start converting chances, doesn't he?
It's not just that he's missing them, he's missing absolute sitters. You know, at Tannadice and against Aberdeen at Celtic Park last Sunday, absolute sitters he's missing. And I feel for him, because he wouldn't be anywhere near the team if Celtic had the kind of strikers that they ought to have, if Iheanacho hadn't fallen down with injury yet again. And I think when the transfer window opens next Thursday, I think that's Celtic's number 1 priority, because if you are going to go for the title, you need goal scorers. It stands to reason. And at the moment, Iheanacho injured, Johnny Kenny not up to it, and nobody else.
Well, we may as well stick with the theme of strikers going back to Ibrox, because it's Yusuf Chermiti that starts up front today. Gabriel, he got a goal last time out against Hearts right at the end of that game. But when he scored against Kilmarnock a few weeks prior, people thought, well, is that him? Is he going to kick on? He never really kicked on. It'll be interesting to see if that goal last weekend will do his confidence any good.
Yeah, Andrew, that's an interesting point, because that goal itself was just a footnote of that game. You know, no one even really talks about it. The last kick, it didn't make a difference. It was all about Hearts, but surely it will do him the world of confidence scoring a goal against the top team in the league at the moment, and it's a huge show of faith in him, and also Telo Asgard. You know, those two have been brought in for Mikey Moore and Bojan Miovski, who have started to hit form over the last 2 weeks as Rangers' best attacking players of December, really. But Dan Rule has changed it today, and it's not just a fitness issue or, you know, rotating. They've not played in 6 days, and also we've got that huge match against Celtic coming up in a few days' time, next week that is. So it'll be really interesting to see if Chermiti can perform. Is he going to be the man that Rule wants to lead the line for the rest of the season in that Celtic game and going into the second half of the campaign? But yeah, no doubt a huge day for Rangers forwards.
Well, that is the picture across the grounds for the 3 o'clock kickoffs. We'll get them underway next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Just about to get underway in the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Scottish Premiership, and hopefully they have as much drama as the early kickoff. It was Hibs 3, Hearts 2 in the Edinburgh Derby. Hibs took a 3-goal lead. There were 2 goals back for Hearts. They almost got an equaliser in injury time, but were unable to get a point. So it means it's over to Celtic, it's over to Rangers, it's over to Motherwell as well, who are up there. What can they do to mix up the top of the table? We've got Rangers against Motherwell, Livingston against Celtic, St Mirren against Kilmarnock, and Dundee against Falkirk, and they are just about to get underway.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get set for the season with expert pharmacy support.
Which means we need to get some predictions from you guys in the studio, starting with you, Hugh Keevins.
Rangers to beat Motherwell, Livy Celtic a draw, St Mirren to beat Kilmarnock, and Dundee Falkirk a draw.
Cammy?
I'm going Rangers to beat Motherwell, Celtic to win away at Livingston, a home win for St Mirren against Kilmarnock, and a draw at Dundee v Falkirk.
Kenny?
Same as Cammy.
Exact
down there. Rangers,
same.
Celtic, St Mirren and draw.
So there's only one result that is different out of all the choices, and it's Hugh going for a draw between
Stuck his
Livingston
neck right on the line, as usual, Hugh.
and Celtic. What gives you the belief that Livingston, in the form they're in, can get a result against Celtic?
Because I would say that Wilfred Nancy's system is not based on defensive solidity. And even while Aberdeen were taking a pounding last Sunday at Celtic Park and Celtic were squandering chances, one simple break up the park and Aberdeen had a goal and it had the look of disaster about it. But Celtic's going close.
Yeah, a shot over the bar from Callum McGregor. Celtic, if the last few games are anything to go by, are going to create a lot of chances, so could well be a busy afternoon for the Livingston backline and
also,
goalkeeper.
The Celtic players' black armbands today, of course, in memory of John Robertson, who was Martin O'Neill's assistant manager for 5 years at Celtic. He loved his time at Celtic. He was terrific for the club and just a terrific guy altogether.
He's maybe someone who, to the younger generation, maybe isn't as known or as well appreciated in Scotland just because he didn't play his club football in Scotland. But when you look at his CV, his time at Nottingham Forest, his time with the national team, an unbelievable footballer of his time, Hugh.
I read a wonderful story from Paul Lambert this morning, who was a great part of that era when Martin O'Neill and John Robertson were there at Celtic Park, and it was the floodlights failed.
Hello? We have one of these already.
Excuse me.
Goal Flashes
10 minutes in, Joe.
with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Livingston 1, Celtic 0. 2 minutes on the clock, and it's Christian Montano smashes it high off the inside of the post and past Viljami Sinisalo. And what a start to the game it is for Livingston. The camera pans into the face of Wilfred Nancy, and Livingston have the lead against Celtic.
Celtic, I said 2 minutes ago that the game is not based on defensive solidity, and there again, as easy as you like, Livingston go through that three-man central rearguard, and it is an amazing start for a team who do not score goals. 17 goals in 17 games, but Celtic are easy to play against.
Yeah, you watch the goal back, it starts off with, I think it's Tierney playing a ball inside. It's a really poor ball, but you look from a Livingston point of view, very positive when he gets on the ball, and again, Ralston just passive in defence, just gets by him easy. It's a brilliant finish, but yeah, listen, it's a nightmare start for Celtic.
That is a problem and has been a theme for Celtic, that they do seem to get exposed so easily at the back with this shape.
Well, you know, Cam is right, it was Kieran Tierney with a crossfield pass that probably should have been cut out with Stevie May, and very fortunate that wasn't cut out in the middle of the pitch. But when it goes wide, you've got Yang away up the pitch, Montano steps on behind them, you've got Ralston who's passive in defence, Yang's now having to try and get back and defend into an area where you don't want him, you want him further up the field. He actually just knocks on and actually gets the assist for Montano. So it's an incredible start, and what it puts is it puts Wilfred Nancy and these Celtic players under pressure, and they will be facing a yellow wall for the next 87 minutes.
Yeah, goodness me, what a start for Livingston. 4 minutes on the clock. They have the only Premiership goal so far, a couple down the divisions. Annan are 1-0 up against Stranraer. Miles Gaffney with the goal, and Cove Rangers have the lead away to Peterhead. Mitch Megginson on the score sheet for them. Also a goal for Inverness away to Montrose for Alfie Stewart. Right, a lot of early drama there, Hugh. Let's get this underway.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Can you name the last 6 non-Scottish players to have scored a league goal in an Edinburgh derby before today? Ignore the 5 goals in the derby today. Can you tell me the last 6 non-Scottish players to have scored a league goal in an Edinburgh derby before today?
You can see that written down at Clyde SSB. That's also where you can send your answers as well. All the answers in one tweet, and it is a race. The fastest to get on the podium. The fastest gets to the top of the podium, and then second and third place. Kenny and Cammy will quietly deliberate between them, and you at home can tweet us in your answers. There was a chance there at Ibrox. Tom Sparrow it was, decent headed chance, but he was flagged offside. Probably should have done better. Chermiti had a promising dribble before that. St Mirren, for them, they had an early chance. Dan Lundaloo header just onto the top of the net. So good bit of opening drama all over, but all eyes will be at the home of the Set Fair Arena.
I think we have to understand the extent to which Wilfred Nancy is walking a tightrope here. Kenny pointed out earlier that the win against Aberdeen was still 1 win in 5 as Celtic equalise.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Instant response from Celtic, and it's Benjamin Negrin who likes to be in amongst the goals. Wilfred Nancy is now geeing up his team as they make their way back to the centre circle. It came from a set piece, and it's Benjamin Negrin who levels things up. It was Arne Engels' right-footed delivery, and Negrin with the header. Actually, in fact, it was a header down onto Negrin, wasn't it? Header, and then it was Negrin who just tapped it over the line. Don't think there'll be any disputes about whether he was offside or not. Looked onside, and it will be Livingston 1, Celtic 1.
There's a Livy player on the line.
Yeah.
So
Dyson Maeda's header down, Benjamin Negrin over the line.
It's a poor goal, and David Martindale will be absolutely raging with that. It's Dyson Maeda's got a free header almost 6 yards right in the middle of the goal, 6 yards out, and as you say, Negrin then runs on and taps it in at the back post, but it's really poor defensively from Livingston. So absolutely brings Celtic right back into this game.
Fair play to Negrin, because that's his 9th goal of the season in all competitions, and he really is, he didn't cost a fortune. Not only did he score, but he's got a huge number of assists to his credit, so he is doing his job.
Yeah, he's someone that has maybe been criticised for his all-round play, Kenny, the fact that he maybe doesn't contribute as much over 90 minutes, but having someone from midfield that can score goals is invaluable.
It certainly is, and again, I think it's not exactly easy.
Goodness me, it is all happening.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Livingston 2, Celtic 1, and it's Christian Montano again. Less than 8 minutes into the game, and Livingston have the lead once again in this match. Celtic exposed once again, and Christian Montano scoring once again.
I go back to it. Defensively, not only suspect, but found guilty, Celtic. And it happens all too often, and I make the point again that Wilfred Nancy, he's on a tightrope, and this stuff is moving him closer to the exit door. He's got away to Motherwell on Tuesday, and then the Rangers game. Defensively, Celtic are all over the place, and it is the fault of Wilfred Nancy's system.
Look, if you look at Yang there, he's just not. He's the right, effectively, he's the right wing back when you're defending, but he never even looks over his shoulder. That's the left back now that is getting forward there and scoring goals. Or sorry, the left sided play. That's his responsibility. He should be he should be opening his body. He should be checking his shoulder. But he actually gets sucked right in alongside Tony Ralston and just leaves Montano at the back again. It's really, you say at the top of the show, defensively Celtic are super vulnerable. We have seen this in the first 8 minutes of this game.
Yeah, listen, you look at Yang, and you're right there, Kenny. He's right in beside Ralston. They're almost trying to jump for the same ball and put each other off. Nobody wins it. And listen, the Livingston player at the back post, what a finish it was as well. It was a brilliant half volley strike past the Celtic goalkeeper. What a response from Livingston. Incredible.
You can argue about the merits and demerits of Celtic's defensive system. What you can't argue over is the fact that they don't have the players to play this system, and that's why it adds to the vulnerability. And the fans will see this as a joke,
because it does look sort of square pegs in round holes a lot of the time, as Celtic have a chance here to equalise already, and they have got the ball in the net. This is absolutely incredible.
Wow. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
We were just talking about a Yang mistake at one end, and Yang has put the ball in the net at the other. It's Livingston 2, Celtic 2. The ball was played in from the left. It was all a bit of a mess, but it was Yang who poked the ball over the line. We have 4 goals in the opening 10 minutes at the home of the Setfair Arena.
Just incredible. And there must be more goals to come, because Livy look as vulnerable as Celtic at the back. So it's a game between two suspect defences.
I mean, it's actually, again, a really good goal when you think how it's built up on the left-hand side between Maeda and McCowan. And again, this is where you want Yang attacking the back post when the ball's coming in from the other side, and he actually shows a real good composure to take it around the Livingston defender and slot it into the empty net. So it's an incredible start to this game.
I mean, people have talked about Celtic and it being sort of square pegs and round holes. You saw that with Yang there in that defensive part of the game, where he was drawn in towards the striker, not knowing that really he should have been looking over his shoulder. Didn't have the defensive instincts at that end, but then showed the attacking instincts at the other when he was in a position that you would expect a winger to be in.
Yeah, listen, he doesn't want to be back there defending. He probably doesn't really realise how important it is for the team, but again, he showed brilliant awareness to get in at that back post, because the ball almost just fell in the middle of the goal, so he attacks it, and it was a really good. At first I seen it, I thought it was a little bit of a stramash in the goal and they got it in, but it was a real good bit of composure from him, because he just kind of moved it to the side and then popped it in the net. But what a start to this game. Both teams look very, very vulnerable defensively.
I should mention there are 3 other Premiership games ongoing at the moment, but just nothing has really happened in any of those games. And there have been 4 goals between Livingston and Celtic.
You never really see a good game at Livy until now.
That's a good 10 minutes anyway.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I mean, 4 goals in 10 minutes is sensational stuff as a spectacle. I still think the Celtic fans would be appalled by how easy it is to lose goals with Wilfred Nancy's formation, and because of the fact that he doesn't have the players who are up to playing that formation.
Well, what you're seeing in this is you're seeing both sides of it. You know, you're seeing the defensive frailties, but you're still seeing that kind of fast flowing attacking football when going forward again. What you've still seen it against Dundee United, you've seen it in other games, but they've just not taken the chances. Today they've actually been a threat. Maeda particularly on that left hand side, where he should be, by the way, and not inside or as a striker, but he's on that left side causing carnage.
They've got to get better defensively though, because if they come up against better teams, then they're going to get absolutely punished. And listen, you look at Livingston, they scored 17 goals this season so far, and they've got 2 in this game, so it definitely shows up where Celtic are very, very vulnerable. If Celtic go and approach the game on Tuesday night against a good Motherwell team who score a lot of goals, they're going to get punished.
Could finish 17-all if the scoring keeps on going this way.
You know, if this was Columbus, Ohio, this would be fine, but this is not Columbus, Ohio, and this is not Columbus Crew. Celtic, you know, again having to defend their goal, trying to avoid going 3-2 behind after 12 minutes. You know, so the Celtic fans will say, yeah, it's quite an exciting spectacle, but what is going on at the back?
A good save by Jack Butland. I think it was Tom Sparrow. It was well worked from Motherwell. The strike inside the box, a cross goal. Motherwell are the better side in the early stages of the game at Ibrox, so I'm not sure the crowd there will be too happy with what they are seeing, but it is still 0-0 between Rangers and Motherwell, and what is a massive game between 3rd and 4th place.
You know the way things are. Ibrox are getting the score coming in, the fans are getting the score coming in from Livy. They'll
be getting high, they'll be getting low, they'll be getting excited, now they'll be raging.
I think their phones are broken.
Up and down like Zebedee.
So yeah, the picture as it stands is 2-2 between Livingston and Celtic at the home of the Setfair Arena. Goalless in the rest of the Premiership matches between Rangers and Motherwell, St Mirren and Kilmarnock, and Dundee and Falkirk. A couple of half chances for Kilmarnock. John Jules headed straight at Shamal George. Kilty with a low shot that was saved at the other end as well. So that game is starting to liven up a bit. A good game, says Fraser Wishart.
We'll get Marv to tell us during the week about the background to this match. But Livy look as if they've been coached all week, because in a certain way, because David Martindale and Marvin Bartley have said they're easy to score against.
Well, Motherwell certainly on top at Ibrox. Another save by Jack Butland. It was Ibrahim Said slipped in Callum Hendry, a shot from the other side of the box. This time Jack Butland forced into another save. So 15 minutes gone at Ibrox, and Motherwell certainly the side that looked more likely to score.
If you just look at the numbers in that first 15 minutes, Rangers not a shot on goal, Motherwell 3 shots, dominating possession, playing their game, asserting their game onto Rangers at Ibrox. It's what the question was asked, can they do it? Well, there's your answer. 15 minutes in, they'll have silenced that crowd and they are the team that are on top.
And it's probably a pattern that maybe doesn't surprise many people, because yes, apart from the last league game out where Rangers lost to Hearts, Danny Rule had got the team moving in a better direction in terms of league results, but none of the performances had really been absolutely outstanding. They were just getting the results, playing a bit better, but going into a game at home against Motherwell, just with the way Rangers are playing and the way that Motherwell are playing, I think people probably wouldn't be too surprised at the fact that Motherwell are creating chances and are playing good football.
No, and again, I said it before, the Motherwell fans will be going to Ibrox today expecting a result, because that's where they're at. And again, Rangers are very, very vulnerable. As you said, they were almost getting a little bit better. They were getting results, but they weren't playing particularly well. But again, I think at this moment in time for the manager, it's all about getting results. They need to get into January to try and get some new bodies in the building, because I think the squad isn't good enough to challenge for the title at this moment in time. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that Motherwell have went and impressed in the first 10-15 minutes of that game.
If anything goes wrong, Andrew, the first thing the fans will say is, why did you leave out Mikey Moore and Bojan Majowski? I'm not sure I really understand what he's doing.
Well, it was a bad night was that Tuesday night for Mark Wilson on the Super Scoreboard Christmas quiz, because I think it was the first time he'd ever lost the quiz to Gordon DL. But I tell you what, it's not a bad day today for Mark Wilson, because Partick Thistle are now 2-0 up against Queen's Park, 2 goals in the space of a few minutes. Ben Stanway with the first. Matthew Shields' own goal means that it's 2-0, so Partick Thistle going well, looking for another 3 points.
Well, yeah, excellent. I tried to help him. I played my part. I gave him the correct answers when we were brought in. The pundits were brought in, Roger, Hannah, myself. So I tried to help you, but you were hopeless.
I think he'd happily take a defeat in the Super Scoreboard Christmas quiz if it meant that you get 3 points today.
You better believe it, as Libby come charging up again, 1-1 with Trusty.
Yeah, block by Austin Trusty for Tete Yenge, but once again Celtic defence looking exposed, looking a bit all over the place, and there will continue to be question marks over this Celtic defence, because was that Anthony Ralston with a square pass that was intercepted by Yenge, and he worked his way forward. But the question marks will be over a few things. It'll be, is it the system that doesn't work? Is it the fact that Wilfred Nancy doesn't have the correct players to play the system that he wants to play? Is it that he does, but the players just don't know the system yet? It's quite hard in the early stages of his reign to actually work out what the problem is. Is it a combination of all three potentially?
I think it is a combination. I don't think they've got the players at this moment in time to play the system he's playing. Listen, if he wants to, and that is his style, we know that's the system that he wants to play. So again, recruitment's going to be key. Getting players back fit as well is key for Celtic, but they can't defend the way they're defending. Again, this is Livingston that are sitting bottom of the league, and they're giving up so many opportunities. They're so vulnerable, they're so open, and as I said, if they play against a better team, they're going to get punished. Again, Motherwell, you look at them, that game on Tuesday night's going to be really interesting of how it goes, because if Celtic are as open as this, Motherwell will absolutely punish them, because they've got good players at the top end of the pitch.
Yeah, David Friel saying that there was a real discussion going on between Trusty and Ralston, a debate a couple of minutes ago about who was picking up who, but you even saw after Yang scored, Anthony Ralston was straight over at Yang, sort of questioning him about what was happening at the goal they just conceded. We
mentioned that he's had a full week, and again, it's not a long time, but it's certainly a good period of time to get an understanding of the system and the way that he wants to play, and your positional sense, your responsibilities on the pitch. And as you mentioned, there's been several conversations defensively where they look a little bit unsure of who's doing what.
He's 6 games in, and the players still appear not to know what's happening.
Oh, a huge chance for Celtic, who almost made it 3-2, and it's Yang who appears to be involved in everything at the moment. It was wing back to wing back. Luke McCowan with a cross from the left. It was a good delivery. Yang got up with a header at the back post and probably should have done better with that. Should have hit the target, but it goes just by the post.
Yeah, he's came in off the back shoulder. Again, Montano being actually the exact same defensive frailties as what Yang showed the other end. Not on his shoulders, not seeing Yang coming, and Yang gets above Montano, and it's effectively a free header from 7 yards out.
Yeah, well, another chance for Celtic as Dyson Maeda skews one wide, so they're starting to create those chances. At Ibrox, Rangers have had their first opportunity. JD Gassama has curled a shot over the bar. There was a good save at the Smiza Stadium for Shamal George, diving to the left to push away a Lewis Mayo shot from 20 yards out. Kilmarnock playing well, according to Fraser Wishart, which the fans will be pleased about, because I think it's something that probably can't be said about Kilmarnock for the last wee while.
Oh no, last 11 games hopeless. This game though at Livy is fascinating. You can't take your eyes off it, because it's a rerun of all the Celtic games under Wilfred Nancy. First half running amok but missing chances.
Yeah, you feel that this sort of period, that sort of period of 10 minutes where there were 4 goals, 2 at each end, was probably coming at some point in a Celtic game. That teams, whether it is Celtic or whether it's their opposition, have maybe been guilty of just wasting chances at times. But what you're not going to get under Wilfred Nancy is a boring game or a lack of chances. But the problem for him is they're not all at the end he would want them to be at.
Exactly. Entertainment is okay up to a point for Old Firm fans. If the entertainment does not come with results, then they want somebody else's manager. Now, as things stand, and I underline, as things stand, it's 1 win in 6 games. Now that will just never do. And he's got Motherwell to go to, and then the Rangers game. And by next weekend, we could be talking about whether he's still going to be a Celtic manager.
A big Motherwell double save. The first strike was from Connor Barron just inside the box. The rebound came from JD Gassama. Looked like he was going to score, but Ward makes himself big. A really good save from Callum Ward. So Rangers now looking as if they're starting to step things up at Ibrox after Motherwell were on top for the first 15 minutes or so in that game.
Yeah, and you see again, it's about just getting their foot on the ball and actually getting themselves into the game. I mean, one player that's actually been pretty impressive over this play is Connor Barron. And he seems to be taking things with the scruff of the neck. He's involved in shots, he's involved in getting on the ball and building the game. I was at the Hibs game last month, which was a dreadful game, by the way, but Connor Barron was actually really, really good at it, probably Rangers' best player. So it's no coincidence he's now becoming a bit of a mainstay under Danny Rowe, because you need players like him that are going to be in the game and actually take the ball.
Those questions will still remain over the likes of Nico Raskin, Mohamed Diamande, who just aren't really performing at the level that a lot of Rangers fans would hope they would be, or maybe have shown in the past.
I think more Raskin, because Raskin is I think there's no doubt that he's a very, very good player. I mean, I don't think there's another player in the country that would be playing for Belgium. So it's surprising to see him again. Even Tavernier, if you want to throw, for me, they're Rangers' 2 best players. And their maybe performances have been under it, but that can also be down to the players that are around them, the kind of situation that they find themselves in at the moment, where they've been struggling for kind of any consistency over the course of the season. But in these moments, tough moments, that's when teams like Rangers, teams like Celtic, you look for those players to be uplifting you. At the moment, it's not quite happening that way at Rangers.
We have maybe the first lull in the whole day so far. Hugh, do you want to give us the teaser again, and folks at home can tweet in?
Can you tell me the last 6 non-Scottish players to have scored a league goal in an Edinburgh derby before today? Ignore all 5 goal scorers today. Tell me the last 6 non-Scottish players to have scored a league goal in an Edinburgh derby.
At Clyde SSB. Remember, it is a race, so you want to get those names in as quickly as possible, all in one tweet.
I think it's astonishing we've gone 13 minutes without a goal here. Wow. What's happening?
There's not been any lack of chances. Well, there's been chances at both ends.
Yeah, you just wouldn't be surprised if there was a goal at either end.
Yeah.
Now, with the way things are going, anything could happen in this match.
Basketball match.
Such an open game, and again we speak about the vulnerability of both teams defensively. But Celtic, they've not got complete control of the game. When they've got the ball, they look as if they're a real goal threat, but certainly when Livingston get the ball up to their striker, then also Celtic look very, very vulnerable. So definitely expect more goals in this game.
Because when you watch that Celtic team, there are some players that maybe don't look comfortable in the system and maybe don't look as if they know what they're doing. You wonder what that does for the players, if they are maybe put in situations that they're not used to, if they're maybe in a position that they're not expecting to be in.
Yeah. I go back to the example you raised earlier. If Anthony Ralston has to go over to Yang and explain what he's supposed to be doing, and we're 6 games in and he's had his full week of training with the players, Wilfred Nancy, and they're still trying. Livy, as you said earlier on, every time the ball goes into the box at either end of the park, you think there's a goal coming. Now, it's cynical, it's sarcastic, however, entertainment is fine as long as you're not Celtic or Rangers. The Celtic fans will not be looking at this and thinking, oh, it's great entertainment, 2 goals each. They're looking at this and thinking, we could lose heavily at home to Rangers.
They'll be saying, how have we lost 2 goals against Livingston? No matter what the score is today, ultimately they'll know that the weaknesses are there, and it's been highlighted against a team that's sitting bottom of the league.
Yeah, but as you said yourself earlier on, Cammy, you know, one day you'll get a good team, and Livy are not a good team. They're bottom of the league for a reason. One day a good team will take this Celtic side apart.
I was starting to think that Roger Hannah had maybe fallen asleep at Dens Park, because there hadn't really been much in the way of updates at Dundee against Falkirk. However, there has been a red card for Brad Spencer, a lunge at the edge of the centre circle, but it is being checked by VAR, so referee Stephen Maclean waiting on VAR to see whether they will intervene or not. So Brad Spencer's currently waiting on the pitch. Roger said he thought it was harsh on Ash Hay, and he is going to the screen, Stephen Maclean, so Brad Spencer may get some reprieve.
Well, that's what it's there for. You know, we complain, but VAR is here to stay. But this is a case in point where you could prevent an injustice from taking place. So he's quite right to have another look, to take a second opinion.
Yeah, that would have been a real boost for Dundee. Still maybe if that red card stands, but Falkirk may end up with 11 men on the pitch as Brad Spencer just waits for Stephen Maclean to go over to the screen, have a look at that tackle again, and communicate with Ryan Lee in the VAR room at Clydesdale House to see whether he's going to stick with his on-field decision or whether he's going to change his mind or not.
What it would do is it would give, if it does stand, it would give Dundee a real chance to go on and get the 3 points and push themselves. Maybe again, I'm sure going into the game they would expect Celtic to probably beat Livingston to move a further 3 points away from them, and maybe even Kilmarnock as well with the running form that they're in. So big decision there.
Still looking, so he's been over there a while, Stephen Maclean, so it's not going to be a quick decision. Maybe there's quite a bit to consider. Roger Hannah did say he thought it looked he actually didn't say it was harsh, sorry, I was misreading that. He said he thought it was on Ash Hay, so we'll see whether it is going to be a red card or not, as Celtic get a corner into the box that falls to the edge of the box for Callum McGregor, and they'll have to start again. Downgraded to a yellow card, so Brad Spencer stays on the park, and it will remain 11 men all as Celtic now have a big chance, and it is the boot of Ryan McGowan, is it, that stops that Yang shot from going in, or certainly going on target, and it loops over the bar and out for a Celtic corner.
I'll be checking this phone at the end of this game. Marvin Bartley and me, Yang, the topic of conversation, as it always is. So he's been responsible for a goal for Livy, he's been responsible for scoring for Celtic, and Yang is having quite the day.
An opportunity for Rangers. Tello Asgard with a shot that nearly creeps in at the near post, but it doesn't, and it remains goalless at Ibrox. Around half an hour, just shy of half an hour I think on the clock there, and everywhere else in the 3 o'clock games.
Incredible, you know, 5-goal thriller at Easter Road, Hibs eventually getting there 3-2. Now with the 4 goals so far at Livy, not bad. When a game and a half you get 9 goals.
Morton 0, Ayr United 1. Anton Dowds on the score sheet for the visitors.
Thistle still 2 up.
Yes, Partick Thistle still 2-0 up. Roger Hannah says there's a correction. The referee is actually Duncan Nicholson and not Stephen Maclean. For some reason Stephen Maclean's name is on the team sheet. That's what Roger Hannah's blaming it on anyway.
Now, that's an interesting one with regard to Mark Wilson. Ross County at home to St Johnstone today. Ross County, who can just not do anything right at all, rock bottom of the league, but they appear to be holding up against St Johnstone.
Well, Queen's Park have a goal back. They got a penalty. I think it was the rebound from the penalty they've scored, so it is Queen's Park 1, Partick Thistle 2. The only other goal in the Championship is that Ayr United goal I mentioned away at Morton. Elsewhere is goalless at the moment.
Always tight in that championship as well, and some, again, you've touched on Ross County, top v bottom. You would never have thought that at the start of the season that South St Johnstone against Ross County is going to be a top v bottom game.
Yeah.
And you genuinely wouldn't have really been able to take a stab at who would have been top and who would have been bottom.
Absolutely not. So, Ross County are getting at that stage now. They need points. You're talking about Livingstons and Kilmarnocks, and Ross County are now starting to get cut adrift at the bottom of that league, which is incredible to say. When you've got 2 wins all season, you're 5 points adrift already, and the top of the table are coming to town. It's not going to be an easy game, but they need to start getting points.
We were speaking about it a few weeks ago, Kenny. Just when you look at Ross County's squad, it's incredible. There's a lot of money getting spent up there. It's very, very strong experience. So just to see them in that position is just, again, obviously they've changed their manager. They are currently looking for a new manager, so it'll be interesting to see which direction, again, Roy McGregor decides that the club need to go in.
You just need to look at the starting lineup today for Ross County and some of the names in there, the Premiership experience they've got. Trevor Carson, Declan Gallagher, Ross Docherty's in there, Jamie Lindsay is in there, Ronan Hale,
Celtic,
and there is another goal at Livingston, and it's for Celtic.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
30 minutes on the clock. It's Livingston 2, Celtic 3, and it's Benjamin Negron once again. This time Celtic are ahead for the first time in the game, and it's Benjamin Negron who racks up, is that his 10th of the season?
10, double figures now, and it's a terrific strike. It's magnificent from Negron, and he really has been this season more than value for money. I think he came in at something like 1.5 million. So to have 10 goals in all competitions by this stage, he's repaying the transfer fee.
It's an area where it's really not easy to find the back of the net, especially with a left-footed shot, but a cross goal in off the inside of the post, it's probably one of the only places in the goal that it becomes almost unsavable for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's an incredible finish. He receives the ball right up just inside the 18-yard box on the right hand side for Livingston, and as you say, whips it across, and there's bodies in front of him, so there's not a lot of gap to get it through. A brilliant finish from him.
And that's about 8 league goals for the season. He's right up there in the top score of the charts, and he has been in and out of the team of recent times as well. So it's an incredible return. Like say, when you've got a midfielder that can put those types of numbers up, to be honest, the Old Firm need midfielders like that are putting like double figures in goals over the course of a season. And Negron is well on the way to getting that this year.
Is that a real area of problem for Rangers, where there isn't that midfielder that is going to get you 10, 15 goals a season?
I've said it many times. If you look at the Diamandis, the Raskins, the Conor Barrons, the Lyle Camerons, there's a chance that Negron will have more goals than all of them put together come the end of the season. So again, and going back to kind of like Rangers teams of the past, where you've got Barry Ferguson's or Steve Davis's or Pedro Mendes's, guys like this that have been putting goals in for that area of the pitch. It can't just be your striker, and that's why your Shermettis, your Miovskis, your Danilos come under so much pressure, because they're not getting help for other areas of the field. That's why Tavernier's normally their top scorer. So you need to get more from the midfielders. Negron's definitely doing that for Celtic.
Probably no surprise that Gabriel tells us Ibrox getting a bit restless. The home crowd, 35-ish minutes on the clock. Maybe not that many, but close to that anyway. And Rangers without a goal. Motherwell have had some chances, and Danny Rule, I don't think will be overly impressed by what he's seen from his team so far.
Well, as Kenny said earlier on, the Rangers fans, their nerves are being shredded because of what's happening in Livingston, and they'll have heard that Celtic have gone 3-2 up now, and that just makes them more agitated with their own team in front of their own eyes.
Raith Rovers 0, Dunfermline 1, and it is Andy Todd who's having a brilliant season that has put them ahead away from home.
Yeah, just going back to Ibrox, it will be again, half time is going to be a big point again there's still 10 minutes to go before half time, and Rangers could get a goal, they could concede, but if they've not scored and it's 0-0, or even if Motherwell has scored, that place, again you'll hear the boos ringing, you will hear the frustrations, and rightly so, because Hugh's right, what's happening in other places, as much as you can't control it affects what's going on at places like Celtic Park and Ibrox. So the fact that Celtic are winning and Hearts have lost, Rangers fans will be eager for their team to make sure they're gaining ground at the top of this league.
Well, Hearts set the agenda by dropping all 3 points, and it transferred the pressure onto Celtic and Rangers. And Celtic, while being all over the place at times, are at least 3-2 in front. Motherwell, everyone thought highly enough of Motherwell to refuse to write off their chances at Ibrox. So it's a great afternoon for us. As long as you're not the manager, as long as you're not Danny Rule or Wilfred Nancy, we can sit back and enjoy all this.
Roland Adobu with a shot just wide from 25 yards for St Mirren. One point you made earlier on, Hugh, is that if Rangers do drop points, there will be question marks from supporters as to why Bojan Miovski didn't start the game, why Mikey Moore didn't start the game. And you do actually wonder what the reasons for, is it the fact that Rangers have 3 games in a week and he feels that those players are better suited to Tuesday's game and then for the Old Firm next week? Or does he feel that Chermiti and Asgard are better suited to this game?
He will explain himself to Gabriel at time up, but he has drawn attention to himself by his team selection, because it's the first thing that people will look at and say, why those two?
And see, Boris, I think it becomes let's make things clear.
Celtic almost making it 4-2. A corner into the box was a proper stramash in there in the 6-yard box. Ball was bouncing about, pinball, but Livingston get away with it as another ball gets whipped across the 6-yard box.
Yes, to go back on the team selection, Daniel, I don't think Miovski or Mikey Moore have been guys that have said, you know what, I'm a starting player, I deserve to have that shirt on my back every week by their performances. I just think of late Mikey Moore has looked a threat. When you're playing this way, you need players that can be direct and put defenders on the back foot, beat a man. Asgard's not that player. So that's why I would be the Mikey Moore one. And again, before Miovski got injured, and maybe that's part of it, maybe he's just been coming back for that injury. This 3-game week might be a lot, but I still don't think he's done enough to be an automatic selection as the Rangers number 9.
Just seeing replays there at the home of the Setfair Arena, and the referee is going to go to the screen. It was a ball into the box. I think it came off the arm of Daniel Finlayson,
I think
and this could well be a penalty.
I felt as if, was it Maeda that was next to him, give him a little nudge, so almost puts him off balance, and his arm then goes away. We'll see it again. I think it's really harsh.
It could hit Maeda on that. His arm's underneath Finlayson's.
You see that little nudge though he gives him, which again, see just there, a little nudge, which then puts his arm out. So I think that's very, very harsh.
His arm is quite outstretched. It will be one of the things that they look at.
Listen, I think it hits his hand. That much is clear. It's whether or not that it's going to be deemed enough to give a penalty, but it is very harsh. But it hits him in the hand, there's no doubt about it.
Is his arm in an unnatural position?
Well, there you go, that's the question, because that ball's coming to him. He has now put his arms back to protect the ball from going to Maeda. So yes, to an extent, but it strikes his arm.
Penalty given, and Celtic will have the chance to go 4-2 up after going behind twice. What a game it is at the home of the Setfair Arena. David Martindale looks dismayed. Will it be Arnie Engels to take? Could it be Benjamin Negron? He's on 2 goals already.
He's the go-to guy, isn't he? Although I think he missed his last one.
Yep.
But Arnie Engels does seem to be the go-to guy for penalties.
Yeah, I think it'll be Arnie Engels. Even I think Callum McGregor was giving him a little nudge, but is that Negron that's got the ball? Maybe he's giving him it for the chance for the hat-trick.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes it is mind games, isn't it? Callum McGregor has got the ball in his hand. Maybe it is going to be Callum McGregor to take, or is he going to? Quite often the captain will just hold the ball to stop any mind games and then pass it on to someone. I think it is going to be Arnie Engels to take. He now has the ball in his hand and will put it on the spot.
What an incredible game. This could be the 6th goal of the afternoon at Livy. Added to 5 at Easter Road. This could be the 11th goal of the day so far. And if Celtic score this, you'd have to think that they're in a very, very strong position, unless they go wonky at the back again.
Yeah, Arnie Engels just resetting the ball on the spot. Takes a big deep breath. It will be a right-footed attempt.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Sends Jerome Prier the wrong way. It is a crazy match that is happening at Livingston. 39 minutes on the clock. Livingston took the lead twice in it, but now find themselves 4-2 behind.
Well, cool as can be on the Ingalls. The Celtic fans who are there now breathe a little more easily. And of course, once again, the scoreline is transmitted to the crowd at Ibrox. And at 4-2, the Rangers fans suspect that Celtic will get their 3 points. But Rangers' 3 points are in the balance.
Could be a big week it is going to be a big week with how it goes at the top of the table, because with Hearts losing today, then Hearts don't play midweek because they've played a game more than the teams below them. If Celtic win this game today, then go away to Motherwell, if they win that match midweek, they go level on points with Hearts.
Yeah, but it's got all the makings of a classic at Fir Park. A ground that was built for midweek matches like that under the floodlights. It'll be sensational. But we're a long way from over here yet. I've rarely seen a first half like this for a long, long time.
Yes, six goals so far at Livingston, and surely the scoring is far from done between these two sides.
It's a big week for the Celtic manager as well. I said it before, that with regards to getting the result today, which I fully expected them to win, but again it's shown up their defensively frailties. If they can go to Motherwell, get 3 points and then win the Old Firm game, then listen, that changes all the negativity that's been around the new manager since he's came in, and that poor start like he had. So I think it is a really big week. They've looked good going forward. Again, you're judging it against a team that's sitting bottom of the league for, as Hugh said before, for a reason. But still defensively they'll massively need to improve for Tuesday night.
It looks as if Livy have kind of run out of steam, or run out of ideas, run out of both simultaneously. They're not providing the threat that they did in those first 10 erratic minutes.
And even afterwards, they were still looking a threat. You said it. I think every time a cross went in the box, they looked a threat. I mean, Pittman arriving, you had May arriving, you've got Yengi, who's a real threat. Yengi again getting in behind. Any time Livingston had the ball, they were hitting it over Ralston into Yengi, so they were getting up the field. But Celtic have been in complete control over this last kind of 15-20 minutes.
Another goal down the divisions. Raith Rovers 0, Dunfermline Athletic 2. Barney Stewart doubling the lead of Neil Lennon's side.
What's the biggest ever score in the history of the Premiership?
You mean biggest score in terms of the most goals in one game?
Yeah.
It's got to be the 6-all, surely, between Hibs and Motherwell. Motherwell and Hibs. It might not be. You'll need to double check, but I'd be surprised if there's a game that beats 12 goals, certainly in the modern era anyway.
We're halfway towards that then.
We've still got more than half the game to go.
Yeah.
Well, Celtic certainly look a threat every time when they're going forward. The link-up play, their movement's pretty good. So, and again, going back on what you said, Cammy, I think he actually needs to win today and then beat Motherwell and then beat Rangers. Yeah. And then, like I say, I think you can start to talk about turning things around. Otherwise, you drop points somewhere else, the whole pressure just gets heaped right back on you.
He gets a fresh trial. If he beats Motherwell and Rangers, then all the talk of, no, he won't do and he should be replaced, he gets a fresh run at it. But this being the country that it is, if he doesn't beat Motherwell and Rangers, then he's back in the dock.
And it would help in terms of maybe just getting a bit of reprieve, a bit of time going into the January window, and Celtic fans then maybe being able to see a Wilfred Nancy team that has players that he would maybe prefer to have in certain positions.
Well, it's a big call for the whole club. The January window is a big call because it's the main grievance that the Celtic supporters have, that the transfer windows have been appalling. What was a very good team has been turned into a very ordinary team, and if Wilfred Nancy is going to start, for example, bringing in players from America, then I'm not sure that would go down well. He's already been linked with Diego Rossi at his old club, Columbus Crew. But the Celtic fans, knowing how much money they have in the bank, are looking for someone a cut above that.
Well, Jack Butland has been relatively busy at Ibrox. He's had to make another big save. It was Elijah Just with a shot left of the box, and Jack Butland makes his third or fourth probably significant stop of the day so far.
Again, it's been a game where Motherwell were dominating and control and looking the better team for maybe 15-20 minutes. The Rangers have then started to show that they are kind of, we're at home, we're going to take charge of the game, but it's finishing again with Motherwell having a really, really good chance and Jack Bullen having to be making a smart save with his feet.
Yeah, that will be a concern for Danny Rule. The number of times that Motherwell have made their way into the box at Ibrox and got shots away, they've probably looked the more likely out of the two teams.
Yeah, and again, the frustration will be there from the manager. I'm pretty sure we spoke about the noise, that levels of frustration from the Rangers fans. Another chance there for Livingston. Frustration for the Rangers fans at half time will be heard. I'm pretty sure there'll be some booing because of what's going on obviously over at Livingston, and the frustration that they've not seen their team take control of the game again. But listen, you can't take it away. Motherwell are a really good team, so I expected them to go and get chances today.
Do we have to extend the programme so that David Friel can get his half-time report in?
Only 3 minutes added, in fairness, so it's not as if there's loads of time that's going to run over, unless there is a lot of drama in the in injury time as the ball deflects over the bar. It was a big chance for Livingston. 2 added at Ibrox. The task for Partick Thistle to stay ahead against Queen's Park has got a bit tougher because Oisin Smith has been shown a red card. He got booked for giving away a penalty earlier on in the game, and now 3 minutes before the break has been sent off.
Dear me.
It's just balls into the box. Again, it's set pieces this time that Celtic are struggling to deal with, and Livingston got that opportunity. I think it was Montano again who just swung the left foot, and it, thankfully for Celtic, went over the bar. But they're applying a little bit of pressure towards the end of this half.
And that would have been an interesting one if that had went in the back of net. That Montano had a hat-trick and he's losing in the first half of a game.
Yeah, I would imagine that Christian Montano's probably not scored a hat-trick in his career before. I'd be very surprised anyway.
Yeah, for sure. But again, he has looked a real threat. Obviously his goals were 2 really, really good finishes. He's had other opportunities arriving at the back post, and that just fell in there again. Ever so unlucky. It could deflect off Trusty and go anywhere. Fortunately for Trusty, it went over the bar.
The thought never occurs to me, Kenny, Utrecht and Bologna still to come for Celtic in the Europa League. But defensively speaking, things will have to change before they get here.
Fernandez and Gassama have had efforts saved at Ibrox, as I mentioned, 2 added there. But it is half time at the Smiza Stadium between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. Fraser Wishart.
St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 0, no goals, but it's actually been a decent game to watch, been really open, and I think Chris Doolan will be pretty happy with his team's performance. They've looked more confident than in recent weeks, and they've actually had a number of chances to take the lead. They've given as good as they got, and that wasn't the case early on because St Mirren started in the front foot, 1 minute in the clock. It was Killian Phillips with a long throw into the box, headed onto the top of the net by Daniel Ndulu. Tommy Oloyemi had to punch a couple of dangerous corners away as Killie were under pressure, but they settled well, and a spell around the Saints box. Tyrese John Jules looked good in the early stages, headed straight at Jamal Jordan. The winger set up ex-Saints midfield player Greg Kiltie. His left foot shot was low but saved at his feet by George. 17 minutes gone, Lewis Mayo, probably the best chance of the game, brought up a brilliant diving save. He struck his shot really well from 20 yards, and George, diving to his left, pushed the ball away to the corner. Then Bruce Anderson had his shot deflected. It looked like it was going in, it just looked just over the bar. St Mirren fans at this stage a bit worried. Kelly looked more likely to score in 23 minutes. Been a while since St Mirren had been near the goal of Kilmarnock. Johnny Younga headed a John corner goalward. Really good save low at his post by Oloyemi. The tempo of the game dropped, both sides getting to grips with each other, a bit more cautious. Then Saints had a decent spell. Roland Dobu, a shot from 25 yards. Keeper was really struggling. He was scrambling across his goal, dived full length. The ball went inches wide. Then John got to the byline. His low cross was blocked by a stretching Mayo, and the ball trickled just wide of the post, and Kelly fans had their hearts on it. Then Alex Gogic got his head to a cross, but again straight at Oloyemi. And just in stoppage time, Brad Lyons, who's been excellent in the midfield for Kilmarnock, with a low cross shot. Bruce Anderson sliding in the back post, seen him doing it so often, but he couldn't get a touch on the ball to turn it home. But in general, St Mirren have been a bit stop-start. They've looked good at times, but others have been pretty scrappy in this game. Could do with a goal, and the one goal, just like last week against Livingston, might just settle this one. Half-time in Paisley, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 0.
There is a check for a Dundee penalty against Falkirk, and it has been given. The referee went to the screen. It was Yates. Handball, and Roger Hanna will give us an update on that when we get his half-time report. But let's go to Ibrox, half-time between Rangers and Motherwell. Gabriel Antoniazzi.
Yes, Andrew, it's 0-0 here. Motherwell looked the better team early on, but Rangers did come back into the game as the half wore on. A few good chances for each side, but you have to say the visitors are edging it at the moment. Jens Bertel Asker's men stuck to their usual tactics, created a couple of good opportunities early on. Tom Sparrow, Callum Hendry's efforts were both well saved by Jack Butland after cutting open the Rangers' defence. It was then Callum Ward's turn to make the difference in the Motherwell goal. An impressive double save, first from Conor Barron and then the rebound from JD Gassama. Otello Asgard had a shot that nearly crept in the near post from the edge of the box. Gassama has looked good down on this left wing, having a great battle with Johnny Katrumbis. He looks Rangers' most dangerous player. Yusuf Shemiti, who's also come into the lineup, he's been involved a lot. A mixed bag as usual. And Elijah just had a good chance before the break, Andrew. Another save with Butland's legs. It's been a busy day so far for the Englishman. Ibrox getting restless, a few boos and cheers at the whistle there, but they're still very much in this game. All to play for in the second 45. At the break, it remains goalless between Rangers and Motherwell.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Goal for Dundee. That penalty has been converted. We'll get the half-time story from Roger Hanna shortly, but let's go to the home of the Set Fair Arena. David Friel, what a game so far.
Yeah, this could take a while, Andrew. It's quite strange. Half-time, Livingston 2, Celtic 4. It was quite a subdued reaction from the Celtic fans at half-time whistle. I think they're all just a bit stunned by what they've kind of witnessed here in the first 45 minutes. A crazy half of football. And this season, any other season, we saw first 4 goals in the first 10 minutes, a string of further chances, 2 more goals from Celtic to put them in command. As things stand, Wilfred Nancy's side are on their way to cutting Hearts at the top to 3 points. However, after the drama of the first half, I think it would be foolish to say this game is over. I think there'll be more goals in the second half. At what end, I don't know, because it's been chaos really. Jamison Asalo, Celtic goalkeeper's in for his first start of the season. His first act was to pick the ball out of the net in 3 minutes. Kieran Tierney's cross-field pass pounced on by Christian Montano. He burst forward, nobody tackled him. He just raced into the box, crashed a shot in at the top corner. Great finish, terrible defending. It was the worst possible start for Celtic, but they were level by 6 minutes. Arne Engels' corner, headed on by Daisen Maeda. Benjamin Negrin nudged it over the line. You wonder if that would calm things down. It didn't. Livingston immediately retook the lead. In 8 minutes, Scott Pittman's cross was completely missed by the Celtic defence. Montano again, all alone at the back post, smashed in another brilliant finish. Yang was culpable along with some of his teammates for that one, but made amends almost immediately. Celtic then equalised again. Only 10 minutes on the clock this time. Maeda again involved, fired on a low cross. Johnny Kenny tried to convert, then flicked the ball into Yang's path, and he managed to bundle the ball over the line. As I said, it was chaos, it was crazy stuff, and there was a lot more to come. Yang headed wide, probably should have scored. Daisen Maeda sclaffed a shot off target. Yang had another effort deflected over the bar, but you also felt that every time Livingston went forward, they could cause Celtic problems, because their back three has just been all over the place at times. However, Celtic did eventually start to settle. They looked a little bit more secure. They dominated the game, and Negrin made it 3-2 in 31 minutes. Kieran Tierney picked him out inside the box, a stunning left foot strike high in off the post for his 10th goal of the season. Livy looked a bit demoralised at that point. There was worse to come. A VAR check saw Daniel Finlayson penalised for handling a corner. Matthew McDermott went to his screen to come back. Arne Engels took the ball, very good penalty, rolled it past Jerome Prior. But then came another Livy rally. They had chances, they almost made it 4-3. So as things stand, Celtic on top. They're on their way to cutting the gap at the top, but do not rule out more twists in this one. Half time, Livingston 2, Celtic 4.
And late drama at Dens Park in that first half between Dundee and Falkirk. Roger Hanna? We will get Roger after the break.
Action as it happens. And your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Just getting back underway across Scotland for the second half. It's a good bit of drama in that first half. Most of it coming between Livingston and Celtic at the home of the Set Fair Arena. It's Livingston 2, Celtic 4. It's one change for Livingston at the break. Jeremy Bakila has come on for Lewis Smith. It remains 1-0 to Dundee over Falkirk. They're yet to get underway, but it's back underway between Rangers and Motherwell, and St Mirren against Falkirk, goalless in both those matches. And we're ready to go for the second half.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get set for the season with expert pharmacy support.
I think we've got a bit of movement left to do for some of your predictions to come in today in the ACCA.
Well, you know, I go back to quite an astonishing game as Celtic have a real chance.
Celtic have a chance, an opening in the Livingston box to try and get themselves 5-2 ahead, but it is blocked initially by Livingston, so the drama continues early on. It's then a headed clearance this time to get the ball away from Johnny Kenny, who was in the middle of the box.
The day so far has been symptomatic of the season so far. It is madness with a capital M. 6 goals so far at Livy, 5 in the Edinburgh Derby, and the promise of more to come at Livy.
Well, nothing's going to change in this game because Livingston are then up the other end and have the ball in the Celtic box trying to create an opportunity, as there is a goal that goes in at Ibrox.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Rangers 1, Motherwell 0, and it's Nico Raskin, a finish from close range. We were speaking earlier on about Rangers midfielders maybe not contributing as much when it comes to goals, but Nico Raskin has put Rangers ahead, and that could be a crucial goal for Danny Rule.
Yeah, there's still a huge gap between Rangers and Hearts at the top of the league. However, it could be cut in half. It's 12 at kick-off. It could be cut in half to 6 by next Tuesday
Well,
night.
there's an offside check for this one, so it may not stand. Nico Raskin thought that he had put Rangers ahead, but it has gone to VAR. The lines will be drawn to see whether there was an offside in that one, so it will be hearts and mouths for the Rangers supporters as it stands to see whether Nico Raskin's goal is going to count or not. I think it must have been either in the build-up, there was maybe a player near the Motherwell goalkeeper, Callum Ward, and all that as well, whether he was obstructing or in the way, and the goal is not going to stand. It has been ruled out for offside, no goal, and it's back to goalless at Ibrox.
Take back everything I said 2 minutes ago.
Almost a perfect start here.
Yeah. So the wacky day continues. It's sensational. This is what you want when you come out of winter hibernation for the Christmas festivities. It is terrific stuff. And at Livingston, it's still a basketball game. End to end, you don't know how this will end.
And that would be almost the perfect start to the second half for Rangers. Just to set the fans' nerves at ease, the players, Danny Rule for sure, but it's been ruled out for offside. And Nico Raskin looking very confused at why that is. But an offside's given.
Yeah, the Rangers players, as you say, I think a bit confused as to why this one was ruled out. But I think when Nico Raskin took the strike, Yusuf Chermiti was standing right next to Callum Ward, either right in front of him in his way, certainly, Cammy.
Yeah.
So I think that one is why it's not counted.
Yeah, again, as you say, the players look very confused. But again, it probably is the right decision that he's in the way and he's interfering with the goalkeeper so he can not naturally move to make his dive. So, it's been chalked off.
Yeah, it's going to
chance for Livy.
Yeah, chance for Livingston. A strike from Jeremy Bakila. That one is blocked. And by the way, if you want a goal, Jeremy Bakila is your man to go to. I think his shot conversion rate is the highest in the Scottish Premiership by quite some distance. Doesn't start all the time for Livingston, doesn't play every minute of every game, but has been scoring goals for them and had an opportunity there, but the shot was blocked, and it will be a Livingston. Well, I thought it was going to be a Livingston corner. It was a goal. It was an offside in there, so it will be a goal kick to Celtic, and they'll build from the back. Right, Hugh, more drama, more early drama has mean this has been delayed.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I think this is easy. What do I know? But I think this is easy. Over the course of my career, I've played alongside John Lundstrom, John Fleck and Scott Brown. I have played in 4 different countries, winning a league title in one of those. And I was once the most expensive Scottish player in history. So over the course of my career, I've played alongside John Lundstrom, John Fleck and Scott Brown. I have played in 4 different countries, winning a league title in one of those countries. And I was once the most expensive Scottish player in history. Who am I?
As always with the Who Am I, there's a lot of information to take in, so you can go over to @ClydeSSB. It'll be written out there, and that is where you tweet your answers. Easy as that. One answer in one tweet and you could be on the podium.
Celtic player down injured.
Yeah, Benjamin Negrin looks to be hurt. He's holding his knee, and it was just a collision in midfield.
He's the one at the moment that the Celtic fans would least like to see go off, because this is now 10-goal Benjamin Negrin, and the best player that Celtic have had today for sure.
Yeah, forceful challenge by Scott Pittman, but he did get the ball.
Yeah, he did. I think Nygren's going to be okay. He's up on his feet, so it was a forceful challenge, as you said, from Pittman.
It's always on that follow through, and you can see he's trying to stop himself. Livingston players sliding on his way through again. There's nothing in it, but it's a painful one all the same.
That early goal that Rangers got in the half that was ruled out, it can kind of do one of two things, can't it? It can give the Rangers players belief that, all right, okay, we can get at Motherwell here, we can create more opportunities, or it's the type of thing that you have that high of thinking you've scored and then the heads go down when you've realised that it's been chalked off.
Oh, they've got to take positivity from it. I think the first half they gave up a number of opportunities for Motherwell, who had really good chances. Jack Bolton had 3 or 4 decent saves. So listen, the message from Danny Rule at half time will have been go out there, have a positive start, try and create more good chances, opportunities. They've done that, it's been chalked off, so they've got to build on that. They've got to feel the positivity from getting in behind and getting that chance, and unfortunately for them it was chalked off. But yeah, they need to build on that.
The Rangers fans will be feeling a little sore. The goal chalked off at Tynecastle last Sunday, now another one chalked off due to VAR.
It was a vital intervention there from Danny Wilson. It was a cross, really good cross from Kieran Tierney. Was it Yang arriving at the back post?
I think it was, yeah.
And it was just hooked away, or Danny Wilson just getting the slightest of touches really to divert it away from him.
Yeah, I think there's certainly more goals for Celtic in this second half if they want it, and they keep playing the way they're playing, because attacking wise they've played some good stuff. There's been some really good movement, but defensively they still look very, very vulnerable.
You'd be very surprised at this, even at the start of this, in the 8 minutes that have been played. Livingston have had 2-3 good chances as well. Yeah. Celtic always looking threatening. Very, very surprised if there's not any more goals in this half at either end.
Queen's Park have just taken a 3-1 lead over Hamilton, and the most interesting part about it is that all 3 of their goals have been scored by central defender Matty Douglas. A hat-trick from centre-back. You don't see that very often.
No, it'll be interesting to see how I know they've got a long throw-in, and Matty goes up for a number of them long throw-ins, but yeah, impressive centre-half hat-trick.
And maybe a Montano hat-trick is at the game at Livingston.
Yeah, Benjamin Nygren will be hoping to get a hat-trick of his own as well. He's on 2 goals there, 4-2 on the day, but has been quiet in terms of goals for Celtic at the start of the second half. Has been quiet for goals all over the Premiership in this second half so far. St Mirren make a couple of changes as they roll the dice to try and get themselves ahead against Kilmarnock. It is Jaden Richardson on for Roland Idowu and Mikael Mandron on for Jonah Ayunga.
That's normally the substitution, isn't it, for St Mirren? It's like for like. Ayunga and Mandron can both do a wonderful job from that and that Stephen Robinson front line, so that'll looking to make an impact and get that goal in the second half.
I think they're 2 of the players that are out of contract at the end of this season, Mikael Mandron and Jonah Ayunga, who St Mirren have offered contracts to, but it is just so tough for St Mirren to keep a hold of these players year on year when they are overachieving and overperforming, and St Mirren can only offer a certain amount of money. They'll just be picked off by teams down south. You see it happen every single summer.
Yeah, and it's not even, again, you're not even kind of talking about Premier League teams or Championship teams. They see that job that they do, particularly those 2 players. I mean, I've been so impressed with it. Again, and the biggest thing for me is they do a really good job when they're called upon and when they're playing, but it doesn't look like they spit the dummy out or they're unhappy. Well, of course they'll be unhappy when they're not playing, but it's not affecting their input on the pitch. So clearly 2 decent guys for that dressing room as well. So if any one of them was to leave, it would be a loss.
It would be, but again, St Mirren get, as you mentioned, every single year. So what you've got to give credit for is the recruitment is incredible. The players that they bring in, the manager normally looks down south, lower leagues, and brings these guys up. So yeah, I think it's almost inevitable when somebody does well for St Mirren, they will move on, and they kind of accept that because listen, they've done a great job since they've been there.
It'll be interesting to see if it changes over time, because Martin Foyle always got a lot of credit for his recruitment at St Mirren. He, earlier on this season, wasn't it, or was it last summer, moved to Carlisle, but John Park has been brought in, who's obviously played a big role at teams in Scotland previously. There is one change for Rangers. Mikey Moore has come on for Mohamed Diamandi, so it is an attacking change for Danny Rule at Ibrox.
Yeah, because the draw is no use to Danny Rule or the Rangers fans, and Mikey Moore might just be the very player who can break the deadlock.
Not sure I've ever seen David Martindale with glasses on before.
Yeah.
It's the first time I think I've ever seen him wear his glasses on the touchline. He definitely didn't have them on earlier on.
More injury problems for Celtic.
Yeah, someone else is down for Celtic as Rangers had another, not really a chance on opening. JD Gassama beat his man, couldn't find anyone in the box.
Yeah, but I think that changes where you'll see Asgard kind of probably moving inside into that number 10 where he's far more suited to be in the middle of the pitch than either out wide, as much as he still would come in off that wide bit. They've got Mikey Moore on again. I don't think he's an automatic starter, but what he is when he's playing, he's direct, he drives at his full back, he can beat a man, and he has started to pick up on form in the last month or so. So it's a positive change for Rangers.
Yeah, maybe a bit of concern for Celtic. Kieran Tierney limping quite heavily. It was actually an aerial challenge between Tierney and Daniel Finlayson. Finlayson sort of jumped in, nudged him. It was maybe the way he landed was a bit awkward, but
I don't know if it was
should be okay, I think.
A dead leg, possibly. I think it was just an impact injury, which the Celtic fans will be happy to hear, because obviously we know the history of injuries that Tierney's had.
An interesting stat that popped up on the screen there, though, that Kieran Tierney with 97 touches, way more than any other Celtic player so far today. I think 30 more touches than the next highest, as Austin Trusty just heads the ball behind for a Livingston corner. It maybe looked a bit sort of more I'm not really sure to get the contact he was looking for there, but it has gone out for a Livingston corner.
Again, it's just miscommunication between him and the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper can gather that, no problem, and Trusty heads it behind. It nearly ends up in a real mess for Celtic.
Yeah, corner comes in, goes all the way to the back post, and Livingston will get another corner out of it.
I mean, you're talking about a team who've averaged 1 goal per game in the league since the season started, and Livy have already scored twice. Had umpteen chances to make it 3, and now another corner to be defended.
Yeah, Stevie May to take this one for Livingston. They've got plenty of bodies up there, but they're nowhere near the sort of physical team that they used to be, Livingston, where they would dominate in terms of height. There's a shot from the edge of the box that sails way over the Celtic bar.
Well, almost an hour in. And as Kenny said earlier on, it can't be the end of the scoring. 6 in the first half, none in the second half, and particularly when both look so susceptible at the back.
Listen, I think if the game was to finish now and it's 4-2, Wilfred Nancy would be happy. It's his 2 wins in a row. He's starting to kind of rebuild and start to win games that he couldn't do in his first 4, so he would take it. But again, on the positive thing, he always wants to talk about the positiveness of the performances. He's created so many chances again. They've taken 4 of them there, something that they've not done in the games that Celtic lost when he first came in. So he'll be happy. But again, I'll stand by it. There's going to be more chances in this game, and we expect more goals.
Rangers have just been opened up there in a way that you see so often with Rangers. It is the Motherwell central defender just has the ball at his feet, launches one ball, long ball over the top. Elijah just running onto it. Jack Butland came out, but he was quite lucky. The ball sort of was knocked by him. There was enough Rangers defenders that got back to block the chance, but it's such an effective way of getting by the Rangers defence, isn't it? A sort of long straight ball over the top.
Yeah, we see it all the time. They've lost a number of goals this season from, just as you mentioned, that direct long ball that the 2 centre halves are not switched on. They're either not communicating in the right position. But yeah, it's a real vulnerability of Rangers, which is incredible, because once you lose that goal, then as centre backs, you've got to identify that one's picking up, one's dropping off. I don't feel as if it's a difficult task to get right, but Rangers certainly can't get it right.
But that's their centre backs that they've got, though. I mean, again, I was at the Livingston game at Ibrox where it was a ball straight off the top, Tete Yengi runs through and scores. And it's like they're watching the game. They're not switched on. They're not focused on, right, where's my man? They're not communicating on how we actually defend against the striker. They're watching the game, and then that's what happens, and you'll get caught in behind.
Well, a big opportunity for Rangers there. I think many in the ground thought they'd scored. It was Yusuf Chermiti with a back heel flick. It was well saved by Callum Ward. Then Mikey Moore looked set to tap in the rebound, but there was a last ditch stop on the line, diving in from one of the defenders to block that, and the ball eventually ends up in the arms of Callum Ward after Mikey Moore went for a back heel of his own. But that was maybe the best opening Rangers have had so far in this game, but unable to take it, and good last ditch defending in the end from Motherwell.
I'll be very interested to see or hear the last hour of this programme when the Celtic and Rangers fans call in what they make of all this, because Celtic's still vulnerable at the back. Rangers, a draw at Ibrox is no use to them today. Tierney down injured again for Celtic. Do the Celtic supporters regard this as highly entertaining and what you pay your money for, or do they regard this as potentially unnerving when Celtic play a team who are not bottom of the league with an average of 1 goal per game?
It's quite funny because there is potentially a scenario today where say Rangers beat Motherwell 1-0 at Ibrox, and Rangers and Celtic get a 4-2 win over Livingston. There's a scenario where they both creep closer to Hearts on points, but I don't really think supporters of either club are seeing performances that think, that's title credentials right there.
You would have to say it would be a peculiar league if Celtic or Rangers won it.
Imagine saying that literally any other time in the past 40 years.
I mean, Celtic will get rid of a manager, as have Rangers. The supporters have decried the new manager at Celtic in particular. They have put in performances that are most unlike the old firm, and if they won the league, you'd have to say it was one of the oddest leagues ever.
I think it's definitely one of the oddest, and it's been crazy up until this moment. I still expect Celtic to win the league. I do. Again, I don't care who's in charge. You watch the way the players, they've still got better players. When they click. We've seen that in spells under Wilfred Nancy. We've seen them winning games under Martin O'Neill. We've seen them winning games under Brendan Rodgers. Irrespective of who the manager is, I still think Celtic will go and win this league. Rangers are going to have big improvements in January if they want to even be in contention in the top for the title race.
What about the Celtic defensive frailties that we're going on about?
That's up to Will. So now that is where the manager comes in. That's up to him to sort that out, because that is his job.
Well, Celtic breaking forward, and Yang has the ball in the box. I think it gets to Arne Engels at the edge of the box, and Benjamin Nygren trying to create a bit of space for a shot. Luke McCowan maybe crowded out in the box, does get a shot away, it's saved. There were claims about 30 seconds ago at the other end from a few Livingston players for a potential handball, but you can sometimes tell when the claims die down quite quickly that they're maybe not convinced in it themselves.
Yeah, no, I think it was a strike from a Livingston player, and there was a lot of bodies in there, but as you say, I think it was more hopeful than anything else. But listen, Celtic need to improve defensively. They've been good going forward and created a number of opportunities, but they're far too open. They give too many opportunities, and I mentioned it before, when they play a better team they will get punished if they continue to defend the way they are.
Well, the two biggest tests of Celtic, and they're days apart: Motherwell at Fir Park, Rangers at Celtic Park. On current form, the two biggest tests that Celtic could get of the Wilfred Nancy regime.
Another big save from Jack Butland. It was Callum Hendry this time, turned and volley after a well worked move, as you'd expect from Motherwell, and Jack Butland is racking up the saves in this match so far. Probably 4 or 5 big stops for him so far,
which tells a story. Obviously the Rangers have had opportunities as well, but certainly Motherwell have had a number in the first half. Had 3 or 4 where Jack Butland had really good saves. Sounds as if he's having a good second half as well, and that's off the back of him having probably a poor performance away at Tynecastle in the defeat to Hearts. I think he knew himself he could have done better with certainly Shankland's goal from that tight angle, but it seems as if he's having a good afternoon.
A couple of changes ongoing. Dundee have brought on Murray and Samuels for Kilmarnock. Ben Brennan has come on for Tyrese John-Jules, so that is a defender for a winger. Maybe Kilmarnock just looking to settle for a point potentially away at St Mirren.
With Dundee a goal up and no goals in Paisley yet, St Mirren would be uncomfortably close to Dundee if the scoreline so far ends up in a result.
Big one of these at Ibrox.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Rangers 1, Motherwell 0, and it's Tello Asgard with the goal. It was an initial effort, easy for me to say, from JD Gassama, and it was a goal for Tello Asgard. Question marks about him being in the starting lineup today, but assuming this one stands, which the Nico Raskin one earlier on didn't, then it could be a big goal from the Norwegian international.
Well, it sounds like Rangers have taken their chances. One disallowed by VAR, one we expect to stand, and Motherwell have not taken their chances. You know, the good saves from Jack Butland, but it adds to not taking your chances. Celtic have a chance, but keep it out quickly.
It'd be a big goal. You know, Motherwell have been excellent at Ibrox. They've had chance after chance. Jack Butland's had a good afternoon. But again, you have to take your moments when you go up against the Old Firm away from home, particularly away from home. And Motherwell haven't today, and you're always susceptible to these types of moments. Again, it's a parry for the goalkeeper. Asgard doesn't look offside. Someone does look offside, but Asgard looked like he came from behind the Motherwell player and taps it in on the rebound.
Yeah, so that could be a huge goal for Tello Asgard if Rangers are able to hold on. As Fraser Wishart points out, Motherwell hadn't lost a goal in 6 games before this one. They were on a fantastic run of clean sheets, but that one has made its way past Callum Ward, and it will be 1-0 to Rangers. The last goal they conceded 22nd of November against Kilmarnock.
Well, that's a blow for them then today, but you have to think if Rangers have anything at all about them, that they'll hold on to this at home.
Yeah, it will be a big test of the resolve of the Rangers players now.
Yeah, and they need to, because the way the games went, Motherwell have created chances. Now they need to go forward, and now they need to create something to get back into this game. So they will attack. They will leave themselves maybe a little bit more open towards the end of the game, where Rangers have a chance maybe to go and put the game to bed. But Motherwell just look a threat. And when you see the players that they've got on the bench, they've got guys that can come on and impact the game. I mean, Callum Slattery's been arguably one of their best players over the course of the season, who's not playing today. And it's been a theme this season with Jens Bertolascu making so many changes from game to game, but still providing a way to get these results. So he's got players on his bench that can affect the game.
Yeah, it's time for those changes. Callum Slattery, Stephen O'Donnell and Apostolos Stamatolopoulos will come on. So an instant reaction to that Rangers opener from the Motherwell manager.
Some fresh legs on the pitch. And again, listen, Motherwell have been good today. They've created a lot of chances. They've just not been ruthless. They've not taken the chances. Kenny said before, when you go to Ibrox, you need to take your chances if you get them. But I think the manager's message will be keep doing what you're doing, because they've created opportunities in this second half, just not managed to take it. And they'll be hoping that Rangers switch off for that one moment. But this is a big test for all the Rangers players on the pitch, because they need to get them 3 points.
Emmanuel Langelo has flashed a shot wide, so Motherwell not hanging about in their quest to try and get an equaliser at Ibrox as Livingston make their way into the Celtic box, and Austin Trusty having to clear the ball away in the 6-yard box.
How easy is it to go through them?
And it's misplaced passes. It's like again when you're opening up to play and build and play expansive, and you misplace passes. Like you say, it's a run straight through on goal, and a big chance for Livingston to get back into the game.
And another corner for them. I don't know. Defensively, this will never do from Celtic. You can't win a league defending like that.
It's them square passes. Again, it was Callum McGregor. You can see him holding his hand up, and it's not like him. He normally doesn't give the ball away very often. But another opportunity for Livingston.
And Bokila should have been in on it. You could see it pretty.
Well, here is a strike that has to be well saved by Voyami Sinisalo in the Celtic goal. He's seen a couple go by him so far today, but that one was straight at him. Still had to be alert to push it away.
Listen, Livingston are making a fight. They're trying to get back in the game. Like I said, in that previous attack, you've got Bikila, can see it developing down that side, and he's just jogging outside the box, he should be dashing across into the middle of the 6-yard box. Does that, he gets a tap in, and Livingston are back in the game.
That strike was once again from Christian Montano on his left boot. Caught it pretty well, but just wasn't either side of the goalkeeper as Celtic ready a couple of changes. Rayo Hitati, who was one of the players to drop out, he's ready to come on for Benjamin Negrin, so there won't be a hat-trick for Benjamin Negrin, and it's going to be Colby Donovan that comes on for Yang. So if that is going to be a like-for-like change, it's a more natural player in that wing-back role.
Great stuff. Sinisalo, that's a real good save from him. And, had that gone in, you're talking about a frantic last 20 minutes. So it was Montano. What would that stat look like? A hat-trick for Montano, a team that can't score goals, and you're getting defenders scoring hat-tricks.
But again, he had the one in the first half where it got deflected off a trusty and just went over the bar, so he's had a number of opportunities today.
Yeah.
We talked about whether Yusuf Jamiti's goal against Hearts would do anything for his confidence going forward. I think he's just gone through on goal there and fallen over, which I don't think will go down too well with the Ibrox crowd.
Well, that's definitely not going to help your confidence. But it's one where, again, there's a lot of pressure on him at the moment. You talked about Johnny Kenny and Shermiti at the top of the show, and one's 22, Shermiti's 21. You know, they're young players who are at the moment right at the top of big clubs, are the focal point, you're the striker, you're the one that's the pressure's on to score goals, and they've actually not delivered. You know, Johnny Kenny's missed a lot of chances. Shermiti, he's actually not looked like getting any chances. So when you're getting these moments, you need to try and grasp them. You're hoping a goal can kind of turn your luck or get you into some kind of form, but it's just not happened for Shermiti at this moment.
Quick reminder of the second half teaser. Over the course of my career, I played alongside John Lundstrom, John Fleck and Scott Brown. I have played in 4 different countries, winning a league title in one of those countries, and I was once the most expensive Scottish player in history.
You did say you thought it was on the easier end of the who am I spectrum, and I've got to say, listeners out there are doing very, very well. There are a lot of correct answers out there.
There's one part of the question that gives it away for me.
We do have a few other guesses. Someone has gone for Tori Andre Flo.
No.
But I see what they mean in terms of expensive, but didn't quite get the right thing. Scott McScott has said Charlie Adam.
No.
Callum Sharp has gone for Alan Hutton.
No.
Okay, I am seeing plenty of correct answers in there as well. A couple of people, including Derek FM, have gone for Ollie McBurney.
No.
It is not Ollie McBurney. Keep those answers coming, and we will reveal the podium just before full time in these matches. Fraser Wisher also pointing out that Livingston have scored more goals than St Mirren and Aberdeen this season.
My.
I don't know whether Fraser's just pointing that out because he's at the St Mirren game where there haven't been any goals.
No, he's obviously stopped looking at the pitch and he's now doing quizzes.
Yeah, I'm not sure there is too much happening at the Smiza Stadium at the moment. The same can probably be said for Dens Park, where Dundee have a 1-0 lead over Falkirk. Yeah, Fraser says bored. Nothing happening here. A pretty uneventful
I find that surprising. You know, it's only a fortnight since the Paisley was turned upside down in the aftermath of a cup win. And,
maybe just a delayed hangover.
Well, as I say, they're too close to Dundee for their liking.
And I mentioned it before, that result, again, Kilmarnock would go there and would love a draw. Could just take a point on the road and try to build confidence within the group and the club. So I think it's a good result for Kilmarnock if they can just get anything away from Paisley today.
Like traditionally a tough venue, I think Fraser's saying as well, the way that Kilmarnock have now set up, they've made a defensive change. You've mentioned there, a point for Kilmarnock just kind of stops the rot a little bit, stops maybe a bit of the chatter about what's going on and where things go next. Maybe just settles things down a bit.
100%. And I think when they've got the game away to Dundee on Tuesday night, that's a big game. Obviously Dundee are winning at the moment, so potentially will pull away from them a little bit further. So yeah, I think just anything away from Paisley, because a lot of fans going there, probably Kilmarnock fans, would be thinking they weren't going to get a lot from the game because their form's been so poor. So I think a point will do them good today.
Well, we have about 15 minutes to go in the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and a change at Ibrox. Yusuf Chermiti won't make it 2 goals in 2 games. He's made his way off for Bojan Mijovski. Young Evan Mooney has come on for Dan Lindeloo at St Mirren, and that is really the only like-for-like change that St Mirren can go for.
As I say, the telephone lines from 5 until 6 were very interesting tonight. Is watching Celtic entertainment, or is it a concern? Rangers, should Mijovski and Mikey Moore have played from the start? Are they back in this title race?
It's a big week for that, Hugh. It really is. I think when you see Hearts drop points and Rangers and Celtic both have games in hand that are through the week, it's an opportunity today and Tuesday night to get 6 points on Hearts. Celtic will have an opportunity. Celtic will win this if they can get another goal or even two. They will have an opportunity to go top of the league if they can win on goal difference on Tuesday night. Rangers will have a chance if they can hold on to the 1-0 against Motherwell that they've got today to go within 6 points. So you would have to say 6 points is you are back in it. Rangers have got again, and then it goes into the big show just after the new year, Celtic v Rangers, and then all the pressure of the losing manager will be right back on them, irrespective of the next two results. But you would have to say this next two games for both Rangers and Celtic, 6 points is a must, because then you're gaining on Hearts and it starts to look a little bit tighter at the top of the table.
But with Celtic, defensively speaking, every game is a lottery.
Well, Motherwell will need to be more clinical than they've been today, because they've had their chances today at Ibrox. Again, playing their good football. Yes, they will have chances again against Celtic, not only because of their good team, but against Celtic, the way they play, the way they defend. But they'll need to be a way more clinical than they have been in the opening 76, 78 minutes at Ibrox.
Yeah, it is the type of match that even if Motherwell come away with nothing, Jens Bertolascu can still be happy. Yes, he would have liked to have come away from this game. He still could come away with the game from something, but if the score stays the same, he's seen more than enough from his team to know that they can compete against Rangers.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. I think they've had probably 5 or 6 really clear-cut opportunities that he should be putting the ball in the back of the net. That'll be his only gripe after the game, is that they need to convert them opportunities when they're presented to them, especially when you go away to Celtic and Rangers. You've got to take your chances, but I think they'll have. It certainly looks as if they've controlled large parts of the game. They've had loads of possession. They've played their football, their style they want to play. And listen, there's 10 or 15 minutes to go. There's still an opportunity for them to get that chance and get a goal. So no, I think you'll be pleased with the performance, but obviously not the result at the moment.
Livy have taken off their main goal threat.
Yeah, not going to see a Christian Montano hat-trick either. He is one of a couple of changes made for Livingston as Davy Martindale tries to get a goal back. You probably wouldn't put it past Livingston the way things are going to get a third goal in this game, but by the same measure, Celtic probably just as likely to grab one at the other end, but still surprising that there haven't been any goals in this second half.
Livy had more corners in this one game against Celtic than they've had against in the last 5 years.
Listen, it would be just kind of typical in Nancy's start of his Celtic reign if Livingston do get a goal and make them really panic in this last 10 minutes of the game. They've certainly had opportunities, like you say, a lot of corners to throw into the box. You just need to go on the end of one of them and get good contact and get your goal and you're back in the game.
You kind of do see that with Celtic as well, that Wilfred Nancy goes on to make defensive changes into the game, and if the starting players aren't overly sure about what they should be doing in and out of possession in that back line, are you then trusting the guys who, you know, are the sort of backups to those players to be able to do the same, and then they're, you know, having to do a bit more defending because a lot of the time the teams are pushing at that point?
Yeah. This has been a compelling watch, but if another team does to Celtic what Livy might have done, then this will not be good on Wilfred Nancy's record, and it will only heighten the speculation over whether Celtic are the right man.
But if it stays the way it is, it will be 2 wins from 2 from the last 2. Yes, you know, the extended record since he came in has not been good, but it's certainly another step in the right direction for Wilfred Nancy.
Yeah, no, and again, it's positive if they win the game, they move on, they take the 3 points, but what he needs to identify is, and I'm pretty sure he will look at, that they've given Livingston far too many opportunities, and we spoke about it, that if they play a better opposition with strikers who can put the ball in the back of the net and present these opportunities, then it's going to hurt them. So they definitely need to be better defensively. There's no getting away from that, but you've got to look at the positives that he's managed to go there, get 3 points and move on to the next one.
I mean, it would be a concern. Like, I mean, we're talking about this since, I mean, certainly since the cup final.
Yeah.
These outside centre backs kind of jumping on and getting in behind, and again crosses into the box and having attacking players in these kind of wider defensive areas. Wider areas when you're defending. it would be a concern that it's not improved.
Yeah.
That would be the thing.
Yeah.
Because again, this is Livingston. I've got 2 goals from the same area of the pitch. Yes, one was a turnover for a bad pass for Kieran Tierney, but it's been time after time they're getting into the same areas of the pitch. Livingston, it's the same. Dundee United, it's the same against St Mirren. Like, it would be concerning for me that it's not actually improved, because he's been in long enough to, and we're seeing it. You know, he's the expert. He should be seeing it, and he should be. His job's to fix it. And I don't buy into the fact that, there's no times game after game. That should be a priority, to fix it. And unfortunately, at this moment in time, yes, they'll go on and win this game, and they should have won this game, and they should have won it probably by more. But there is still these weaknesses in the back line. When Celtic have got the ball, they're getting hurt in the same areas every single week.
Paulo Bernardo will be the next man onto the pitch for Celtic. Johnny Kenny will come off, so it should be maybe a bit of a reshuffle in terms of who goes where. Will it be Dyson Maeda up top, you'd imagine?
You would think. He's the only one left who has any previous for playing in that particular role. But it really gets back to the question of the transfer window in January. Celtic need top class striker material.
As a ball goes into the Celtic box there, spilled initially by Voyami Sinisalo. That's because it was one of his own players almost clattered into him, Anthony Ralston, but Sinisalo did well to gather at the second attempt. It was a dangerous looking ball from deep, though. Just not really dealt with initially by Ralston, was it? Kind of swung a leg at it, bounced through his legs and into the arms of Sinisalo.
It's kind of typical of what happens at the back for Celtic. The most unusual things are going on.
Yeah, that sort of number 9 position is obviously a concern for Celtic. Kenny, would you say that is the main priority going into the January window?
Listen, I think it definitely is the main priority. That doesn't take up defence. Again, with injuries, they've got to need another defender to come in and actually help with all these deficiencies that we've been talking about over the course of the show. But I looked at even before Celtic have got into this situation, before Brendan had actually left and Wilfred Nancy had came in, for Celtic to have got into the situation they did come the end of August, where they never really had a recognised number 9 to lead the line, to get them 20 goals a season, for me it was an incredible situation to let themselves get into. They're now paying the price of that, and they have done for the last few months. It is something that needs to be corrected come January. Again, who that is, you see a lot of names getting linked with the position, but there's no doubt someone will be signed. It's not easy to sign players of quality at that time in this transfer window.
Jayden Magoma with a decent strike for Rangers. That was saved by Callum Ward as Rangers look to try and put that game to bed at Ibrox, but it's probably about 85 minutes on the clock there, and just the 1 goal lead. Motherwell have created plenty of chances so far today, so they'll be hopeful that they can create a couple more and maybe grab an equaliser.
Well, right now Danny Rule would bite your hand off for the 3 points that he has in his possession, because the fans might be disgruntled, but it does move them closer to Hearts, and it does give them the potential to be closer still by playing St Mirren and beating them at Ibrox on Tuesday. And right now St Mirren have gone terribly quiet.
Since there could be late drama, Hugh, should we wrap this up?
Okay.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Over the course of my career, I played alongside John Lundstrom, John Fleck and Scott Brown. I played in 4 different countries, winning a league title in 1 of those countries, and I was once the most expensive Scottish player in history, which makes me Oliver Burke.
Yes, Oliver Burke is the answer. The final clue there being the big giveaway. A man who is in the Bundesliga at the moment with Union Berlin, and the podium, it was nice and quickly wrapped up. This one, plenty of correct answers. It was Murphy 82 in 3rd place, it was David 1984 in 2nd place, and Chris Lynch was fastest off the mark to get the top of the podium. There is a triple change for Rangers. John Souttar making his return from injury. Probably a smart time, do you feel, to get him some minutes in the legs to build him up, or is this sort of time of jeopardy to throw him on?
No, listen, he'll be desperate to get back on the pitch. Obviously had that injury and spell out, so whether it's just building them back towards it and shoring up that defence to make sure they get over the line. He's an experienced enough player to come on, so it's good to see him returning again, because we know the problems they've had in that centre back position.
Finlay Curtis and Lyle Cameron, the other two players who have come on, so they will get the final few minutes at Ibrox as Rangers look to hold on to that 1-goal lead that they have over Motherwell. It's still Livingston 2, Celtic 4. All the goals coming in that first half, and 4 of the goals coming in the first 10 minutes. The drama has died down a bit in the second half, but there have been plenty of chances at both ends. Still potential for late drama in the other two games, as well as at Ibrox, because it's still Dundee 1, Falkirk 0, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 0.
Celtic, the fans wouldn't like to see a third going in for Livy right now. That really would be some finish, but they can't find a way to get a fifth goal for themselves, and it's difficult to see. Is it Maeda who's playing in what we call the conventional striker's role?
Yeah, it looks to be Dyson Maeda who's sort of occupying that number 9 role, which you'd think he'd maybe be a bit more pleased about, because in those sort of inside number 10 roles that are being used, quite a lot of the time he's receiving the ball in crowded areas with his back to goal, which is just not his game at all.
Well, today he was playing wide. He was playing.
Yeah,
he was playing as the same place where he looked really, really dangerous as Dundee United, and that's where he needs to play. Whether in this system, that's the only place Dyson Maeda should be playing for Celtic. Yes, I understand that they've no striker to take Johnny Kenny off and he can fill in, but he's way, way more effective when he's out either left on the 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, or if he's in that left, if you want to call it a wing back position in this Wilfred Nancy team. And again, he had started really, really well in this game, coming short, running behind. Him and Kieran Tierney have got a good understanding. Tierney puts over the top and he gets him behind. That's what Dyson Maeda's about.
Oh, red card for Dundee, so that'll be one that Falkirk will be happy about. It was a clash with Ethan Ross. It was Simon Murray that has got himself sent off, so could that give Falkirk an opportunity to find himself an equaliser 87 minutes into that game? And it is just a 1 goal in it, so maybe an opportunity for Falkirk. We are already hitting the 90th minute at the Smythe Stadium. 3 minutes added on in terms of stoppage time between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. Could we see a winner there? Just with the lack of updates, it doesn't sound as if there has been a goal coming in Paisley.
Well, when the man there for Super Scoreboard describes it as boring, I'm going for a goalless draw.
We like to talk up the Scottish game, but sometimes there are some games where it's just quite tough to.
Exactly, you're only telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know,
whereas we've had plenty of games today where there have been a lot of goals and a lot of drama. The Edinburgh Derby, this game between Livingston and Celtic. There will be a couple of late changes for St Mirren. O'Hara and Taylor coming on as Robbie Muirhead has an opportunity for Livingston.
That's a chance, it's a chance. You know, I think a lot of Livingston's chances have been the same. It's been balls forward or cross into the box that have then dropped him, mainly Montagno. But again, that was very similar, dropped to Muirhead. He gets good connection on it, but just too high over the bar.
Lucas Fadinger has gone down in the Rangers box, but no penalty, says the referee. Motherwell, though, are pushing, and 5 minutes added at Ibrox. So 5 minutes for Rangers to hold on to that 3 points. 5 minutes for Motherwell to continue that push to try and test Jack Butland more and see if they can finally get the ball by the Rangers goalkeeper, who's been busy today.
I think they're paying the price of their own folly, Motherwell. They've had plenty of chances. Jack Butland has done his job, but the Motherwell attackers have not done theirs.
It's a big 5 minutes for Rangers and Danny Rose, because we've talked about it. It's a big week, 6 points up for grabs, 6 points that you could be closer to Hearts at the top of the league. You need to make sure you get the result. We say at the top of the show, both Rangers and Celtic must respond.
4 minutes added at the home of the Set Fair Arena, so 4 minutes left between Livingston and Celtic. There has been an equaliser late on for Queen's Park against Partick Thistle. Partick Thistle went 2-0 up. It was then 2-1, then a red card just before half time for Oisin Smith for Partick Thistle, and there's been a goal for Ewan Murray in that game to make it 2-2. So that is a late blow for Mark Wilson and Alex Ray.
Ross County still goalless?
Ross County and St Johnstone are still goalless.
So it's some dreadful disappointment for Mark and Alec Ray, but the damage is minimalised if St Johnstone also drop points in Dingwall.
And Arbroath are currently sitting 1-1 with Airdrieonians, and they are behind 5 points behind 4 points behind Partick Thistle, so there would be no damage done. 8 minutes added between Dundee and Falkirk. Roger Hannah is wondering where on earth all that has come from.
Spoiled his Christmas now.
8 minutes added. Quite incredible.
Well,
the penalty drama was at the end of the first half as well. So I don't know if I don't think there was a lengthy VAR check for Simon Murray's red card, but Roger Hannah has another 8 minutes to go in that second half.
The city of Dundee is just not kind to Roger Hannah. It takes his car out of commission, and now he might even see the new year in there.
Well, Fraser Wishart's going to rub it in because it's full time for him at St Mirren against Kilmarnock. Fraser?
Not sure what I'm going to rub in, Andrew, because this wasn't a Christmas cracker. Damp squib in the end. Decent first half. Promised something in the second, but that 45 minutes were pretty poor. Hardly any, even half chances on either side looked like breaking the deadlock. Both sides of chances take the lead in what was a pretty open first half. St Mirren's best effort was saved by Oluwayemi. An excellent save from a Yunga header down at the post. When Dulu and Gogic had chances, Idowu was just wide with a 25-yard shot. Kilmarnock had their chances though as well. Lewis Mayo with the best 20-yard shot. He brought a really good save, diving full stretch to his left by Shamal George. The game needed a goal. Killing more likely in the early stages. James Brown the right hand side. A couple of really good crosses low across the 6-yard box. No taker. St Mirren brought on Mandron and Richardson as he struggled to create anything. The subs didn't make a difference. Richardson had a header at the back post. It was kicked away by Shelter Brown in front of his own goal. The football then crossed low. The best chance of the second half when Dulu should have scored. Really good save. He could save by the goalkeeper. He was diving to his right, save with his feet to his left, but it was a good save in any case. But Lundulu really should have scored. But the second half in general just very scrappy. Stephen Robinson really animated. I've seen him so many times. His team struggled, especially when Bruce Anderson got his head to a kilty cross at the back post. He couldn't get it on target, went into the side netting, and as the game drifted towards the end, you could see that Kelly were more belief than St Mirren. They could actually snatch a winner. St Mirren's season-long failing of scoring goals is plain for all to see. The lowest scorers in the Premiership, and Chris Doolan and the Kilmarnock fans will be pretty happy, I think, although their run without a win stretches to 12 games. This was a much better performance at both ends of the park, and they thoroughly deserved an away point. Full time in Paisley, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 0.
So there you are. St Mirren, the lowest goal scorers in the Premiership, but took 3 off Celtic in a cup final. The Celtic defensive strategy is very much up for question.
Well, it is closing in on full time. I think we're probably going to get full time between Livingston and Celtic first. Only 15 seconds or so to go at the home of the Set Fair Arena. Rangers against Motherwell probably has about a minute to go in that match, and Roger Hannah's going to be sitting in his seat for the next half hour waiting for Dundee against Falkirk to finish with the way things are going there. And I think there is, that is the full time whistle at Livingston. Let's speak to David Frail.
Yeah, full time, Andrew. Livingston 2, Celtic 4. It was entertaining, it was chaotic in parts, but Celtic got the job done and have cut Hearts' lead at the top of the Premiership to just 3 points now. They also have that game in hand. What a game it was here. 6 goals in a crazy first half, none in the second half, despite Livingston especially giving it a good goal. It's a second successive win for Wilfred Nonce, and that combined with 4 more goals, clearly a major positive for the new Celtic manager. However, I think it's fair to say that the large away support here will leave with certain concerns about some aspects of this performance. Celtic have now lost 13 goals in 6 games under Nancy. They were far too open at times, and they really need to tighten up at the back if they are going to win this league. Bojami Sinasawa made their starting goal for Celtic with Kasper Schmeichel out, and he was beaten within 3 minutes in a crazy opening spell. Kieran Tierney's slack pass pounced on by Christian Montano, burst forward, crashed a shot into the top corner. Great goal from Livy perspective, terrible from Celtic, but they were levelled by 6 minutes. Daisen Maeda, he got on the end of Arnego's cross, headed on, and Benjamin Negrin finished off from close range. It was one each then, breathless stuff, and incredibly Livy were back in front just 2 minutes later. Scott Pittman's cross just wasn't dealt with by the Celtic defence. Montano was all alone at the back post, produced another top finish. Yang was to blame for that one defensively, but made amends as Celtic then equalised again in the 10th minute. Daisen Maeda again fired in a low cross. Johnny Kenny tried to convert, Yang nipped in, some nice skill, and bundled the ball over the line. Both sides had chances before Celtic made it 3-2 in 31 minutes through Negrin. Kieran Tierney found him inside the box Not a lot of back lift, sent a brilliant left foot stroke in high off the post for his 10th goal of the season. There was worse to come for Livy before half time. A VAR check saw Daniel Finlayson penalised for handling a corner, maybe a bit harsh but probably the right decision in the end. Andy Engels took over the penalty responsibility, sent Jerome Prior the wrong way to make it 4-2. You wondered if there were more goals at that point. You thought there would be. Livy threw on Jeremy Buckey at half time. The big striker got a bit of joy against the Celtic defence. David Martindale's side, plenty of pressure. They were into double figures for corners by the end. They gave it a good go. Buckey should have done better on a couple of occasions. Sinisalo did Montano a hat-trick with a fine save after another set piece. Celtic didn't really offer too much in the final third in the second half. Yang wasted a break. Yu Hatate come off the bench. He had a shot saved. But in Livy, the last chance of the game, Robbie Muirhead pounced on a loose ball, fired it over the bar for Livy late on as they kept pushing right to the death. But it's another win for Wilfred Nancy. The Celtic roller coaster under him now moves on to Fir Park on Tuesday. The Celtic play Motherwell with the chance to go top of the league. Full time, Livingston 2, Celtic 4.
And it's full time at Ibrox. Gabriel Antoniazzi.
Yeah, it's Rangers 1, Motherwell 0. A big 3 points for the Gers on a difficult day at Ibrox. Tello Asgard's second half goal the difference this afternoon as Danny Rule's men leapfrogged the Steelmen into third place. Now, Motherwell looked the better team early on. They stuck to their usual tactics of possession-based attacking football. They created a couple of good opportunities with Tom Sparrow and Callum Hendry. Strikes well saved by Jack Butland after cutting open the Rangers backline, whilst Elijah Just should have probably scored just before the interval. But Rangers had their chances of their own in the first half, with Motherwell's Callum Ward making an impressive double save from Conor Barron and then the rebound from Jedi Gassama. And the hosts did create more in the second period, Andrew. Yusuf Chimiti had a backheel flick really well saved by Ward, and Mikey Moore, who'd come on, looked set to tap it in, but somehow Motherwell got a body in front of the ball, stopped it crossing the line. Nico Raskin had the ball in the net a few minutes later, but it was ruled out for offside, and you began to think, is this going to be one of those days here? The crowd were restless. But no, Asgard got the important strike after 67 minutes. Gassama cutting in from the right, forcing a good save from Ward. The Norwegian was there to turn home from close range. Motherwell were good this afternoon. They kept pushing, but they were not slick enough in the final third, even though they had Rangers on the ropes at the end. And they lose in the league for the first time in 2 months. What a run it's been for Jens Bertel Asku's men. And even if it wasn't a classic Danny Rule's side win, they could have scored more on the break late on. They have bounced back from defeat last weekend and got 3 points closer to the league leaders. They're 9 behind Hearts now with a game in hand. Full time here, Rangers 1, Motherwell 0.
Still ongoing between Dundee and Falkirk with that 8 minutes added on, so I think we will get the full-time report from Roger Hanna shortly, but for now it is over to you. The action is almost over in all of the games, and you know what that means. It is the open line 0141 951 1025. There is plenty to talk about between now and 6 o'clock. Maybe you are a Celtic fan or a Rangers fan who is happy to see the fact that your team has won 3 points and edged closer to Hearts at the top of the table. But what did the performance tell you? Were there concerns there, or are you just happy at the fact that you are closer to the top of the table? I want to hear your thoughts on the Edinburgh Derby. What a game it was as well. I'm not sure many people expected Hibs to race in to a 3-goal lead. Hearts almost clawing it back for a draw, but it ended 3-2. Maybe you are a St Mirren fan or a Kilmarnock fan. Maybe you want to focus on that Dundee Falkirk game. There's also a later kick-off as well, Aberdeen against Dundee United. We'll get round to that too, so get your calls in now. 0141 951 1025.
Are you one of the 1.5 million UK customers that have used MedExpress for your healthcare journey? If not, accessing treatments for sexual health is now easier than ever. You don't need to visit your GP or pharmacy. Just complete a short online consultation to find the right treatment for you. We'll send your treatment directly to your door, delivered to you in discreet packaging with ongoing support from our experienced UK-based medical team. Take the first step towards managing your health concerns with confidence. Visit medexpress.co.uk to learn more.
At Lidl, the countdown is on for spectacular Hogmanay deals, with 20% off a range of McKinley's pies with Lidl Plus, like hearty McKinley's Hogmanay steak pie. What better way to ring in the new year? Lidl, more to value. 18 plus Scotland only, while stocks last. Terms apply. See lidl.co.uk/LPTV. Ends 31st December.
Are you one of the 1.5 million UK customers that have used MedExpress for your healthcare journey? If not, accessing treatments for sexual health is now easier than ever. You don't need to visit your GP or pharmacy. Just complete a short online consultation to find the right treatment for you. We'll send your treatment directly to your door, delivered to you in discreet packaging with ongoing support from our experienced UK-based medical team. Take the first step towards managing your health concerns with confidence. Visit medexpress.co.uk to learn more.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.
You can't do much in under 5 minutes. Boil an egg? Sure. Cook a roast dinner? No chance. But comparing car insurance prices with mustard.co.uk? Easy. See what you could save in just a few minutes. Click mustard.co.uk. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. See website for details.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
A hectic day in the Scottish Premiership. It was defeat for table toppers Hearts in the Edinburgh Derby, and Celtic and Rangers both managed to take advantage. Not vintage displays against Livingston and Motherwell, but they have helped cut the gap at the top. And now it is over to you. 0141 951 1025. Get your calls in. What did you make of the performances? Maybe you're just happy that you've taken a step closer to Hearts. Maybe you're a Hearts fan. You want to defend that performance against Hibs. Maybe you want to complain about it, or maybe you're interested in one of the other matches. 0141 951 1025. We didn't get round to getting the full-time report from Dens Park, so let's speak to Roger Hannah. Or maybe not. Maybe he's gone. Roger? No. Anyway, we've lost Roger anyway. But unfortunately, we will get round to that. But we'll try and speak to Roger if we can. But Hugh, what did you make of how it all unfolded today?
Do you know, it's a thoroughly confusing day. There were Hearts on the rebound from a deserved win over Rangers at Tynecastle, and they fell apart in the first half against Hibs. Very, very nearly get away with it. Terrific save to prevent it from going 3-3 at the end. And if we thought that was terrific entertainment, then we moved on to Livingston, and we had 4 goals before 10 minutes had passed. I come back to it. Celtic's main problem for me, St Mirren are the lowest scoring team in the Premiership, as Fraser pointed out earlier on. They took 3 off Celtic in the cup final. Livy, who average a goal a game, took 2 off Celtic today and could have had another couple on top of that. Whatever idea is in Wilfred Nancy's mind, it doesn't work. And with Rangers, they have a terrific chance now against St Mirren midweek to cut the gap between themselves and Hearts. It's a season on the park that befits the chaos and storylines off the park. Who knows what's going to happen now?
0141 951 1025 on the phones. Let's speak to Robbie, who is a Celtic fan in Falkirk. Robbie, are you delighted just with the fact it's 3 points? Was there anything you liked about the performance? Were there any concerns for you?
Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, panel. Regarding Celtic today, there's obviously the defensive frailties are there a bit, as you would expect with the back three and what we've seen in the past, especially with them losing the first 4 games. But I just want to say that what impressed me about Celtic was their ability, their bounce back ability in that game was tremendous. Just for to go 1-0 and go 1 each and 2-1 and peg it back almost right away on the 2 occasions they went down. And obviously the previous game, the first one that Nancy won against Aberdeen, Aberdeen late in the game make it 1-1 and Celtic come back with 2 goals. So they've got that bounce back ability. They are a little bit vulnerable, as you would expect, but I'm still confident going into this Motherwell game. And I just want to speak about a few players in the system. I heard that Gordon Dale saying that Dyson Maeda, never a number 10, he should be playing on the last line. I noticed Dyson Maeda in the Aberdeen game in that number 10 position. He's actually brilliant in that position because it gives him the opportunity to go out wide and act as a winger and come inside to support Kenny. And I noticed that Luke McCown playing in the wing-back position behind Maeda on the left-hand side. What he does sometimes is come inside and Maeda goes outside. So they sort of swap about. Regarding the back three, if anybody's thinking that Wilfred Nancy is going to go with 3 out-and-out centre-backs, then think again, because this is something that he done in the MLS. He played 2 traditional full-backs as his sort of kind of centre-backs, but what I didn't like about it is sometimes they're too wide. You know, I'd like them to come in a wee bit just for a wee bit extra protection, but that's just the way he plays with his centre-backs. I like them to go out wide. Getting onto the January transfer window, I'm not naive enough to think that when players come in, whether it's 2 or 3 players, whether it's a striker or whatever positions they are, that these players are going to hit the ground running. That's not going to happen. Sometimes it takes a couple of months. It can take 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, you know, for new players to come in. So if new players do come in, whether it's for the MLS or whatever else, it's no guaranteed that these guys are going to hit the ground running. So that's just a few different points. Just put it over to the panel.
Well, first of all, you can't approach a transfer window saying, oh, it'll take them all ages to hit the ground. You have to buy and buy well and give yourself a chance. With regard to Celtic's defensive system, they are now averaging the loss of 2 goals per game under Wilfred Nancy. And the Motherwell game at Fir Park and the Rangers game at Celtic Park will tell a few stories, because there's every chance that one of these days or nights, that Celtic defensive setup will cost them dearly.
Yeah, are there any sort of defensive concerns for you, Robbie? You're saying there's a couple of areas that, you know, you're seeing progress in players that you're liking in certain positions. The fact that, you know, there were 2 goals conceded in the opening 10 minutes. Livingston did have maybe more chances than you would have wanted against Celtic. Is that a concern, or do you think it's something that will be ironed out just the longer the players have with Wilfred Nancy?
See, Yang went a wee bit too central with that goal that came over the top, and that boy hit it with his left foot right into the top corner. I think it was in Woodland's second goal. The thing that really actually bothers me about that is Yang should have been coming in, and you know, he was too far central. He should have been over that side a wee bit to get that guy coming in who took the shot. The thing that actually about Yang in this system, he's actually been playing well, and he's been tracking back as a wing back and nicking the ball off and winning the ball back quite a lot of times. I actually noticed as far back as the Hearts game and various other games, and going forward as well, he's actually been playing really, really well as a wing back, as much as he's an out and out winger. And it's just the centre back, you know, Trusty's probably preferred over Scales because he's got better pace for that middle guy as out and out centre back. As good as Scales has been, and he has been great for most of this season, especially when his back's against the walls. He's got brilliant defensive instincts, and you know, he's good in the air. But
if they're all brilliant at the back, Robbie, they're still losing 2 goals per game under Wilfred Nancy.
I've never ever denied that, Hugh. But I'm just saying to you, you've not even picked up what I say. I did admit at the start of the call defensive failures, but as I say, I gave him a wee bit of praise for coming back twice a day, right away, and against Aberdeen. So, Hugh, I'll just say this: I'm quite happy for Celtic to lose 1, 2, 3 goals as long as they win the game. I know it might catch up them; they might, lose a game, and but Celtic, if they can actually get themselves sorted out the back, Hugh, I can see somebody getting an absolute scudding for Celtic. I mean, I can see them winning 4 or 5 and 6 if they can get sorted out the back. But I'm admitting it, defensive frailties here. There's no doubt about that, Hugh. But I'm just saying that they've came back. I've tried to be balanced here. I've criticised them. I've praised them. And what I like about the last 2 games is, as much as I've been conceding, bounce back ability right away. Both. And I've not got any problems with fearing Motherwell. Not a problem. We'll take them on, and I think we can beat them. Rangers at Celtic Park, well, that's going to be a big test, because Rangers will come out all guns blazing and they'll test Celtic there, so we'll see how that one goes.
There's one thing that you can say about these Celtic players. There was a lot of question marks over Wilfred Nancy's first 4 games about whether the players were buying into his system. A lot of talk about, you know, whether the players liked the new manager, whether they were taking to what he was doing. Whether that is the case or not, we don't know. But the one thing that they have shown, as Robbie mentioned, in today's game, that resilience to bounce back from, going behind twice in the first 10 minutes and then also coming back after conceding that goal against Aberdeen when it was 1-1, despite the fact that Celtic had dominated, to go and get 2 late goals. You can say what you like about the sort of, defensive frailties and things not going well in that regard, but the players are certainly putting in a shift, certainly over the last 2 games, to make sure that they're getting over the line.
I could counter that though by saying they didn't come back against Hearts at Celtic.
I know, but we're talking about the progress that they're making now, because they've won the last 2 matches.
The next 2 matches are the ones that will tell you the real story. Motherwell at Fir Park will be a real hot night for Celtic, and of course Rangers, because Danny Rule will know if he can beat Celtic at Celtic Park, then it puts Celtic under tremendous pressure. Likewise, if Celtic beat Rangers, Danny Rule's under pressure. But I just think there's evidence there, statistical, numerical evidence there. You can't go on averaging the loss of 2 goals per game.
When it comes to recruitment, one area I am really interested in is I say wing-back areas. I'm not even sure you can call them wing-backs in this system, just given the way that they're deployed by Wilfred Nancy. He certainly doesn't seem to be wanting to play sort of natural full-backs, wing-backs in those areas. Yang and McCowan are the players that are doing it at the moment. Sebastian Tenekte had been playing it previously before going off to the African Cup of Nations. You do wonder what the sort of ideal profile is for Wilfred Nancy in those positions, because it certainly doesn't seem to be, an attacking full-back. It more seems to be an attacking player that then has to sort of fill in with their defensive duties.
Yeah, again, when you look at Yang today, obviously made the mistake, and it's putting responsibility on that. He needs to get back. He was back, but he didn't understand the positional sense right. It's something that the manager will need to work with the players in this new system, because it's so important for them. Obviously today they were exposed a number of times, giving the ball away slack and allowing Livingston opportunities. They need to get better defensively. There's no getting away from that. But today there was loads of, for me, when I look at Celtic, there was positives going forward. They created a number of opportunities, but they certainly need to tweak the system to make sure they're tighter defensively, because they gave far too many opportunities today.
Well, thank you to Robbie. 01419511025. John is a Rangers fan in Cambuslang. John, what did you make of that display, that 3 points at home to Motherwell?
Evening panel. I'm not 200% on who's on tonight, but probably the one.
Kenny Mill, Cammy Bell, Hugh Keevins.
Right. I would say that's probably the best I've seen us play this season in the league, and I know it was only 1-0, but 28 shots, 13 on target, but you can see it's getting better. And the Hearts game was probably a bit of a blip because of the role we were on, but I could see certain players. Asgard had probably one of his best games, if not his best game for Rangers. Raskin, but I would have said to him during the week, it worked. Butland, you wouldn't even believe me when I tell you that was his 10th clean sheet of the season. Stirling coming back, Suter come on, Cameron come on. There's loads of positives, but Barron today was everywhere. He's one of these players that when he's on form for Rangers tick. Chamiti's still... It's hard to watch him because he's getting into the chances, the opportunities, and he could have had a hat-trick today, but the whole... And Gasserman he's probably his best game for Rangers in a long time, and I'm looking at it, and one loss since he's come in the league, and if we get 3 or 4 players in January, win their games around, I think next Saturday against Celtic, if we win that, we've got a good chance, but still, it's probably going to be like a bit of a basketball game next week. It's going to be back and forward, but I'm looking at it and you can see we're getting better. And even I was on last week about Fernandez. He actually had a good game today, and so many positives today, and I was happy to watch that today for once.
Yeah, what did you make of Rangers' performance? Because we did talk about the fact that Jack Butland made a lot of saves, but John rhymes off the stats there. Rangers did have 28 shots. They had 13 on target, whether you like XG or not. Like 3.75 is what Rangers had to Motherwell's 1.01, which is quite a gap in itself as well. So Rangers did create a lot of chances. They did miss a lot of chances. They did let Motherwell in at the other end, but they did show maybe more attacking promise than they have done in previous games.
Again, without watching it, like again, studying the game and the form. I mean, like, when you have 28 shots, that can obviously add to. Again, have a look. Was there great clear-cut chances? Because again, we did see maybe 4 or 5 of Motherwell's, and never really seen too many of Rangers ones. But they've won the game. That's what, under Danny Rule, that's what Rangers found to do. You know, they've found a way to win games. Again, John just touched on his domestic record. It is pretty good, and there's no doubt Rangers need reinforcements in January. There will be reinforcements. They need to be ones that are going to come in, and like you say, hit the ground running. They need to be hits. Rangers can't afford to sign 3 or 4 players and 1 or 2 of them are actually making a difference. They need to be signing 3 or 4 guys that are going to help these current players, because if they can get 3 or 4 that are going to come in and start, or at least push the guys like your Ascards, like your Connor Barons, like your Gasamas or your Mikey Moores, and make them better because they've got a challenge, then absolutely it's going to have been worthwhile, and they're going to have a squad that could potentially go and challenge for a title. Because at this moment in time they don't. That is just the long and short of it. So they need reinforcements.
Where do those reinforcements need to come, John? What areas?
Saying the striker department. Before Kenny didn't see the game, but there was 4 or 5 chances. He'd have been up the road with the match ball if he was still playing for Rangers. But because some of them were like on a plate. The last 5 minutes had something like 2 3-on-1s, and it was just the right ball, and it's a tap-in. But and at the defence, I've said about Suter, he's come back, but I'm still feel as if we probably need a centre half. Left back, the boy's come up for England, he's done well, but there's no competition for him at left back. They've tried Aarons at left back, and it's obviously no work to it. Probably need a left back, a striker, and midfield, but I don't think they're that bad. Raskin, Barron, Cameron, Diamondi has his up and down days, but 4 players that come in. I don't think it's 8 or 9, 4 players that could come in, and the way this league's gone this year, it's anybody's. It could be us, could be Hearts, could be Celtic. I don't think we're that far away. There's no team that's been sparkling in the league this year. There's teams that have had wee runs, there's teams that have had a wee bit of luck. It could go anywhere this season. That's what makes it good. That's what makes it a great watch this year.
I'll confine myself to the millennium. Over the last 25 years, there can't have been a time when Celtic and Rangers simultaneously have squads as average and mediocre as these two. And, you know, if John finds it entertaining, good stuff, because he pays to watch. But, as I said earlier, we're a very odd league if one of these two wins it.
Cammy, do you agree with John's assessment of where the squad needs strengthened, or are there any other areas you think are crucial?
Listen, you're looking at the striker department, because again there's not enough goals coming from that department. So again, they have spent a lot of money obviously on Chermiti, and Majovski's there as well, so they've spent money. It's just not worked out. They've not got the return from them 2 guys that they were expecting. There's other areas that he mentioned defensively. I think they just need to get players, but I think centre half, when you look at the 2 centre halves that they're having to play at this moment in time, has been a bit of an issue. But yeah, listen, I think what Danny Rowe's done since he's came in is he's won games. That's what was asked of him to do when he comes into Rangers, is win games of football. It might not be pretty, but I think today's a big win, because Motherwell were going strong. They're a good side. So today was a good victory for them.
When you see Hearts dropping points, John, I know there is still that gap, but Rangers have a game in hand, as Celtic do as well. Does that give you any hope that, you know, things will tighten up even further at the top of the table in the coming weeks?
Well, I'd rather have the cliche, have the points on the board, but the next couple of weeks could make or break any of the 3 teams that are up at the top. If you win your next couple of games and you get the right players in January, who knows? I mean, Hearts, they could bring 3 or 4 players in. They've got a chairman or an owner who's got players for other teams they could bring in. Who knows? It's the most bizarre season I remember, because Hugh's right. The 2 teams, whoever, Rangers or Celtic, would win this league. It's probably one of the poorest teams to win it. And I hate to say that being a Rangers fan, but there's no team that's dominant, and there's no. Look at the 2 teams in Europe as well. There's just no that anymore, and there's no fear. Teams are coming to Ibrox, and they've not got the fear they used to have. I think we actually play better away from him at times, but who knows? I mean, for a neutral watching, it must be brilliant, and hopefully my team win the league. But I don't make predictions like that, because It's been one step forward, 2 steps back last few weeks at times, where you think these players are starting to play well, and then the Hearts game last week. But we're in a chance. At one point, it was like 15 points. Hearts were ahead of, so you never know.
Hugh, when the following weekend there's an Old Firm game, normally the build-up to that would pretty much start right now.
Yeah.
But because there are games on Tuesday, but just given the fact that those are the games in hand on Hearts, nobody can really look beyond that, because those games are so crucial. And then the landscape of the league table could be completely different one way or the other come Saturday.
What happens on Tuesday night at Ibrox and Fir Park sets the tone for the Old Firm game. Because on the face of it, Rangers would appear to have the easier of the two tasks, because you're playing a St Mirren side who've only managed 15 goals all season. They might have won a cup, but in terms of the league, they're just not making progress, and they have to go to Ibrox, and Rangers will be looking for a psychological boost ahead of the Celtic game. Celtic have to go to the ground of a club who have been the real surprise package. They've let themselves down today, Motherwell, but they will strongly fancy their chances against Celtic. And when they look at the defensive display from Celtic today at Livingston, they'll fancy their chances even more.
Well, thank you to John. 0141 951 1025. Give us a call now and you could be up next.
Are you one of the 1.5 million UK customers that have used MedExpress for your healthcare journey? If not, accessing treatments for sexual health is now easier than ever. You don't need to visit your GP or pharmacy. Just complete a short online consultation to find the right treatment for you. We'll send your treatment directly to your door, delivered to you in discreet packaging with ongoing support from our experienced UK-based medical team. Take the first step towards managing your health concerns with confidence. Visit medexpress.co.uk to learn more.
It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line 0141 951 1025.
Big day in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic and Rangers both cutting the gap on Hearts. That's because Hearts lost the Edinburgh Derby 3-2 at Easter Road to Hibs. It was a 4-2 win for Celtic against Livingston, with all 4 goals coming in the first half. All 6 of those goals, coming in the first half. 4 of those goals coming in the first 10 minutes. Rangers with a 1-0 win over Motherwell. It was a goalless draw between St Mirren and Kilmarnock, and Dundee beat Falkirk 1-0. Let's go to Pittodrie first of all, shall we? Because there is a late kick-off between Aberdeen and Dundee United. Dave Galloway has the build-up for us.
Yes, thank you very much, Andrew. Pittodrie is sold out for this keenly anticipated clash. Hopefully, what's been a very, very interesting day in the Premiership will be rounded off with a cracking contest in front of this capacity crowd. Aberdeen have certainly improved domestically, only 1 defeat in 8 games, but many feel they let themselves down with a very timid first half performance at Celtic Park 6 days ago. Dundee United with only 1 win in their previous 9 matches, but that was against Celtic. Both teams then capable of serving up some impressive football. Both, though, also have plenty to prove this evening. Will somebody come up with the goods? That is the big question. Looking at the team lineups, both sides make 3 changes. For Aberdeen, firstly, in come Shinnie, Polvara and Nisbet. Out go Lobben, Jensen and Lazetic. So Mitov in goals. Looks like they've gone back to a back 4. Devlin, Milne, Knuster and Shinnie. The sitting midfielders Polvara and Armstrong. Further forward for the Dons, Keskinen, Aushish and Carlson, with Nisbet the main man in attack tonight. The subs for the home team: Suman, Helton and Nielsen, Clarkson, Milanovic, Bilalovic, Lazetic, Jensen, Kjartansson and Giamfi. For Dundee United, the men coming in: Esselink, Iovu and Namu. Out drop Graham, Strain and Stevenson. So Richards in goals. Also appears to be a back 4 for them: Chevet, Carestes, Iovu and Esselink. 3 in midfield: Namo, Sibbald and Ferry, with Waters leading the line, supported by Sapsford and Fata. The subs for the Tangerines tonight: Kusharenko, Adams, Trapanovsky, Eskison, Dolcek, Sturton, Cleel Harding, Constable and Muller. Your match referee is Callum Scott, and on VAR it's Andrew Dallas.
Yeah, it should be a good game, that one. 5:45 kick-off at Pittodrie, so we'll let you know if there are any goals in the early stages of the game before 6 o'clock. But keep your calls coming on 141951 1025. Paddy is a Celtic fan in the south side. Paddy, what stood out to you from that 4-2 win over Livingston?
Enthralled by this, the new manager and the system of play that he's introduced. Obviously, some of the results, speak for themselves. They haven't gone our way. But this style of play, yes, I'm all for it. I want to be entertained. I think when your previous callers, a few have said this in Scotland. I think that's the way to go for Celtic. It is the Celtic way. In tradition, we are known for an attacking style. So glad to see the back of the horseshoe and the 1-0 sort of 2-1 victories, rather boring in comparison. So, yeah, I think we'll go on, we'll strengthen in the January window. We'll flex a bit of financial muscle, and albeit these new players that we're going to bring in, they will have to settle in quickly, but hopefully that will enable us to take that stretch at the top of the table and win the league comfortably.
Yeah, sort of putting aside the defensive frailties that we touched on, Cammy, if you look at the other end of the pitch, the big criticism of Wilfred Nancy's team so far was that lack of clinical edge, not taking chances, because Celtic have been creating a lot of chances, and certainly in that first half they've shown how clinical or how devastating they can be in spells where it clicks for them by getting 4 goals in a short space of time. It's just about trying to continue that and keep that up, whether it is just the consistency of the players that are already there, or maybe upgrading players in certain positions.
Well, yeah, listen, we all know that they need to bring in a striker. I think we're clear on that. They've got goals from other positions on the pitch, so I think that helps Celtic just now to get to January to try and find that striker to bring them in. But yeah, listen, since the new managers came in, they have created a number of opportunities, but again, you mentioned that they weren't taking them opportunities. They probably should have had more goals today than what they did. But again, the fear is when you play better teams and you offer up all these opportunities, then it can hurt you as well. So listen, they need to get the balance right. They need to be ruthless at the top end of the pitch, which a striker in January I think will help the club, and they desperately need that. But also they need to understand the system a little bit better. They need to can't give as many opportunities to better teams. Today they gave Livingston far too many opportunities, and if they can tighten that up, if they can understand the way that he wants to play and be expansive, but also be aware when you lose the ball you've got to transition back into that defensive shape and nullify the opposition, then listen, it's a positive result today. They got the goals, they should have had more, but it's something for the manager to build on.
I acknowledge Paddy's generosity of spirit. However, it's not so subtle dig at Brendan Rodgers there, talking about horseshoes. This is the man who won 11 of 13 trophies. He's already lost 1 trophy under Wilfred Nancy as manager, and I guarantee that Paddy's generosity of spirit will evaporate entirely if Celtic lose to Motherwell and Rangers. He'll be back on next Saturday calling for the manager to go.
But then if they win both games, then you'll have the opposite effect.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm simply setting out the menu of what could happen, because I cannot accept that. I know we were entertained when 4 goals came along before 10 minutes had passed today, but defensively I maintain Celtic are all over the place. They've lost a cup final to a mediocre St Mirren team who scored 3 goals and could have had more.
How do those defensive frailties get fixed, Paddy? Because it was quite clear, certainly in the early stages of the game, that there were discussions, debates going on between the Celtic players about maybe not knowing what they should be doing. Certainly Ralston and Yang had a discussion at one point. Trusty and Ralston did as well. For you, is it just about, time will fix that and getting used to Wilfred Nancy's system, or is it going to have to be new players? Is Wilfred Nancy going to have to make tweaks?
Yeah, it's going to be new players. Let's say Celtic are financially, we're just miles ahead. We've got, the board have made it clear, and regardless of what Hugh says, it's not going to make any difference if we lose to Motherwell and Rangers. I don't think that'll happen. However,
you don't think, Paddy, you don't think that will make any difference?
I don't think it'll make any difference whatsoever. We're going to back them. They've made that clear. I'm 100% behind that. The players there that have been playing thus far are playing for the Celtic futures, and there's a few that are going to have to find themselves at new clubs. Celtic will bring in the players that Nancy wants to play this system, and that's the nature of the business. So, Nancy's given them every opportunity to see whether or not they can adapt. Those who can't adapt, they're out the door.
That's why the January window is going to be so interesting when it comes to Celtic, when it comes to Rangers, when it comes to Hearts, because Celtic and Rangers spent a good bit of money in the summer. I think that a lot of people would accept that the money, the evidence up until this point would say it maybe hasn't been wisely spent so far. Things could change. They will have a bigger budget than Hearts, you would suspect, in January. It's whether they spend it wisely, and then it's what Hearts do as well, because Hearts had a net spend of £200,000 in the summer and significantly upgraded their squad. They've already got a couple of players coming in the January window. That's sort of sorted and sealed. So it's not just about who's got the biggest budget and who's got the most money to spend, is it, Kenny?
No, it's who spends it the most wisely, and I think there's only one guy that you would bet at this moment in time who would do that, and it'll be Tony Bloom at Hearts, because he's got years and years of evidence to show that he can sign players for any level, whether it be Brighton in the Premier League, whether it be Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium, or whether it be now Hearts, who's came in and signed players for who are now sitting top of the league after Christmas. So the smart money would be on him, that he's going to invest whatever money Hearts do have wisely. Celtic, with Paul Tisdale at the helm, making decisions, I've got a lot to answer for recruitment, for potential manager decisions as well. Rangers have shown over a number of transfer windows that they've got it wrong as well. So it doesn't matter how much money you've got. You need to spend it wisely. And again, Paddy, when you asked, I'm really interested to see where Celtic do sign players, because they will sign a striker, no doubt about it. But when you're talking about these wider positions, Celtic have probably 10 players on their books at this moment in time that could be playing in these, if you want to call them, wing-back roles. I mean, you've got your Ralston, Tierney, Yang, Maeda, Johnson. I mean, I don't know where Johnson's going to play when he comes back. Sarachi's out, just Tuneka, who's just been signed, Donovan. You've got James Forrest on a bench, who, again, for me, can pretty much play anywhere he wants somebody to play in that front line. So there's so many players at that moment. Did they sign another centre-back to potentially play at the back and maybe give them a little bit more stability in that back three? I mean, I think it was one of the previous callers talked about how Wilfred Nancy did it at Columbus. Well, actually had a midfielder playing centre, not a full-back. He had a midfielder playing centre-back for him at Columbus. One centre-back and one full-back. So he's not going to do that at Celtic. So I'm really, really intrigued to see where Celtic go, where they strengthen, and what type of player they look for in this January.
Well, thank you to Paddy. Kai is a Rangers fan in Rutherglen. Kai, how are you?
I'm all right, panel. How are you?
Good, thank you. What stood out to you? What did you take away from that Rangers win today?
But it was the win that we needed. Obviously, Hearts dropping points, great for all the teams in the top four. But it was a quite dire game. I've not watched a more dire game in the recent years. Even all the games that we've drawn, it was dire. Really dire.
In what sense? Because I think the last Rangers caller we had on, forgive me, was it John? He was saying that he thinks it's the best Rangers have played all season. Would you dispute that?
I probably would dispute that. Like, it took us till, I don't even remember, the 78th minute. That's how dire it was. I don't remember what minute we scored. And to then, even in the last 5 minutes, we had chance after chance to add more, get more, and we just kept fluffing our lines every time.
But then is the positive that Rangers were creating chances, or then is it looking at the negative that Rangers weren't taking the chances? It's a sort of tough one to balance, isn't it?
I think in the current climate, for Celtic and Rangers fans, it doesn't matter what it looks like. All they're doing is counting points and how close does it get you to Hearts and so on and so forth. I genuinely believe that in this peculiar season, the Celtic and Rangers fans don't care what it looks like. Just win the thing.
That was the important thing. I've always said it. It is the important thing for Celtic and Rangers. Looking at Rangers, it's about getting that win today. I mentioned that Motherwell are on a fantastic run. They've been getting a huge amount of plaudits the way they play. They're a difficult team. They've had big results this season. So it was a tough game. It was an important one for me that Rangers got the 3 points, and they managed to do that. And I think Danny Rowe's been fairly consistent with getting points on the board, and since he's came in domestically. I think if he can get to January, bring in a few new faces that suits his style of play and the way he wants them to play and build that confidence of winning games as well. I think it's so important. But today was a big win. I feel as if today was a significant win for Rangers to get that 3 points over Motherwell, who were obviously sitting above them as well.
Despite the fact that Rangers have been picking up the points mostly under Danny Rowe, Kai, I think a lot of people would accept the performances. They've not been blowing teams away. What do you feel needs to change for Rangers to not only pick up the points but put in those dominating performances?
We've got to change a bit everywhere in the park. Defensively, we're quite short at times, letting teams that 2 seasons ago might never have got their chances. Midfield lacks quite a lot. We've got creativity, but then there's nothing on the end of that creativity. We can create chance after chance after chance, and I'm happy with that. But if we're not putting it in the back, we put the ball in the net twice tonight. Once was offside, which I think is a good spot from the referees, and the other one was a 6-yard tap in, and that was all we had. Ball in the net twice against a team like Motherwell. As much as they're doing well, we should still be beating them week in, week out.
Well, thank you to Kai. We're going to hear from some of the managers involved in today's games next, and more of your calls. 0141951 1025.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Final chance to get your calls in on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. 0141951 1025. It is close to kick off at Pittodrie, where it's all happening. Pyrotechnics from the front of the stand. There's a big Up the Dons tifo as well from the Aberdeen fans. Looks like a sellout as well, so should be a good atmosphere for Aberdeen against Dundee United. A good point you make there, Kenny, is that Aberdeen have 2 games in hand on Motherwell. If they were to win those both, be joint on points with Motherwell, who are having an absolutely fantastic season. Yes, Aberdeen's budget is much bigger than Motherwell's, but maybe Aberdeen just going under the radar with the run they're on at the moment.
I think they have. They had a really, really poor start to the season. I mean, the exact kind of opposite of what they done last year under Jimmy Telling's first season in Scotland. But they are quietly climbing that table, and if they can get the result here at home, and like you say, it looks an incredible night for football up in Aberdeen. Packed stadium, the pitch looks immaculate, and they're on a decent run of form at this moment in time. And if they can get the right results, 2 tough games, I will say, against Dundee United and Hibs on Tuesday night away, that they could find themselves level on points with Motherwell if Motherwell were to lose to Celtic. So it's quietly going under the radar and climbing that table.
Let's go back to the phone shortly, but let's start hearing from some of the managers involved today. Let's go for Danny Rowe first up.
Yeah, I'm happy for the 3 points against a team tries really to play football. I think for a neutral supporter, I think it was an enjoyable game. Both teams tried something. At the end, we won the game, and this is the most important key. I think I'm not looking too much to the datas, but if you have at the end 28 shots, a lot of big opportunities, 3 against 1, 4 against 1 situation, you have to close the game. I think this is what we have to do. There's no excuse, because you never know what happens, and then if we stay here and we have a draw, then we will say, oh, come on, why? Unnecessary. This is what we have to take. I think I spoke after the Hibs game in the last 15 minutes today again. This is what we have to improve very soon. Then it's much, much easier to take this win home.
And here's what Wilfred Nancy had to say about Celtic's 4-2 win away to Livingston.
Good game, difficult game to play, regarding the context, regarding the pitch, regarding the opposition. I really like the competitive spirit that we had. We came back twice from behind, and after that we were able to score 4 goals. We could have scored more goals, obviously, but I really like what we did first half. Second half I like it also, but in a different ways, because defensively we were strong. We didn't concede. They attack a little bit more, but offensively I think that we could have done better with the ball to be able to install in their half and to recognize to attack, because sometimes I think that we rushed, and what happened is it was a chaotic game, at a certain moment. With they had the balls, they played the long ball, they had the balls, they played the long ball. It was not easy to escape also the man-to-man, but I'm pleased with the competitive spirit that we had, and also the...
Paul is a Celtic fan in Cowglen. Paul, what did you make of it today?
Good evening, panel. I just wanted to say that listening to some of my fellow Celtic fans phoning in, is this where it's come to now, where Celtic are quote unquote have to show the ability to bounce back and creating lots of chances? Celtic shouldn't ever have to bounce back when you're playing the club at the bottom of the table. And let's not kid ourselves on. Livingston had a lot of chances. If we didn't have a 2-goal cushion with that penalty that we were lucky to get, it would have been game on. It's not working. If we had a lot of chances, but we're playing Livingston. If that was any stronger team, that would have been a totally different game. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And I just don't know where we go from here. That's what we've come down to now. Celtic are showing the ability to bounce back. When have you ever thought you'd hear such a thing?
Paul, thank you for your honesty, because I begin to wonder if I'd gone deaf or something had happened to me. When Paddy came on and said that if Celtic lost to Motherwell and Rangers, it would make no difference. It would make all the difference in the world. And that there's every chance that Celtic could lose to Motherwell and Rangers because of the reasons which you outlined, Paul. Defensively, all over the shop. And for Wilfred Nancy to say there, defensively, we were strong. What game's he looking at? They lost 2 goals, could have lost more, to the team at the bottom of the league. And this is the main problem going forward. And you're 100% correct. I know that bounce back ability might not translate into the French language, but Celtic are not about bounce back ability, and I think some people have to get real as you, Paul.
So of those 2 wins back to back, have they not done anything for you, Paul, in terms of your thoughts on Wilfred Nancy?
No. Simple as that. No, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You just need to hoof the ball up the field and you're one-on-one with Austin Trustee, and And we don't have a month to sit and wait to get players to play this style of football. And then how long does it take for them to gel? I've said it before. We're lucky we were playing Livingston today, and we're lucky Livingston didn't put away their chances. Really, 4-2, 4 goals in the first 10 minutes. We're playing Livingston and we were behind twice. No, it's just not good enough. It's not good enough. And then to not capitalise and score more goals in the second half to make up for that, it's not good enough.
Cammy, what do you feel those 2 wins have done for Wilfred Nancy? Because we've had a couple of callers who seem a bit more impressed by the direction it's going in. There'll be some supporters like Paul who haven't been impressed by it at all. It's certainly sort of taken a bit of heat off him, but it really is just all about what happens going forward, because Celtic are expected to beat Aberdeen at home. Yep. Celtic are expected to beat Livingston away. But is it what happens in the bigger games, what happens in the January transfer window is what he'll really be judged on?
Yeah, listen, I said before, I think it's a massive week for the manager. He had a really poor start. We all know that. We spoke about that. He's got 2 wins under his belt, but for me the next 2 games are the real ones he's going to get judged on. Motherwell away, we know how difficult that's going to be, and certainly if Celtic show their defensive display like they did today, then Motherwell will punish them. There's no getting away from that. They've got good players, Motherwell, at the top end of the pitch. They're a threat, so Celtic will need to tighten up at the back and not give as many opportunities away. And then the Old Firm game, listen, he's going to get judged on the next 2 games. He needs to win the next 2 games. He needs to go on a really good run between now and the end of the season and win the title to win some Celtic fans back, to be honest.
Do you not have any faith that those next 2 games can be victories then, Paul?
Well, you look at what Motherwell have done today with the Rangers. They created a lot of chances and they never took them. They'll more than certainly take them against us with the way we've been defending. I just don't think we have a month to sit and wait. I really don't think we have a month to sit and wait for them to maybe bring players in.
So do you feel it can get?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm not impressed with anything that I've seen so far. I've watched 2 full Celtic games of Wilfred Nancy's reign. I've only watched 2 games from start to finish. Every other one I've had to switch off because it's boring, it's rubbish, they're not performing and they can't defend. We're just leaking goals. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening.
The stats tell you that Paul's correct. Under Wilfred Nancy, Celtic lose 2 goals per game. They've lost a cup final to a St Mirren side severely underperforming in the Premiership, and St Mirren took 3 off them, and it could have been more. And everything is about Motherwell on Tuesday, Rangers on Saturday. If Celtic win both of those games, clean slate. We're back to Wilfred Nancy being the right choice. If Celtic lose those 2 games, we have pandemonium on our hands.
I suppose what we do need to then work out, Kenny, in the coming week or weeks is, are Celtic getting better under Wilfred Nancy, or were the opposition just easier over the last couple of games, if you get me?
Yeah, listen, again, that's the question. But again, I'll come back to it, what like how Paul's talking. Celtic should be beating these teams. That's the long and short of it.
Yep.
They should be beating these teams, whether it be home or away, irrespective of what's been going on or who the manager is. They should be beating them. The problem against Celtic, and that is where I'm really intrigued, and I've said that about January, is I wonder how you do change these defensive frailties, because just signing players, just change it with the players you've actually got at the moment to try and make things a little bit better. So there's a big January for both Glasgow clubs. I'm really interested to see how this kind of plays out. And Hugh's right, if the results go against Celtic in the next 2 games, then if the whole thing turns against on Wilfred Nancy, there's no doubt about it.
Well, thank you to Paul. Let's squeeze in finally Jake, who I'm guessing is a very happy Hibs fan. Jake?
Hugh Keevins.
Yeah.
Champions elect. You're having a laugh.
Have a look at league table, see you top.
We'll have a look in May at who's finishing 3rd.
Well, I'm talking about tonight. You're talking about 5 months away.
I just look forward to the bubble busting next week.
That may very well be the case. However, unarguably, Hearts are top of the table.
Not for long. Not for long, my friend.
Well, I understand that emotions. I've got a Hibby in the family myself now, and he told me last night that Hibs would win, and I did not think that would be the case. So he'll be having a really good night, as you will. And believe me, you are entitled to it. You rode your luck towards the end, though, Jake.
Jake, there were sort of accusations a few weeks ago that, the Hearts bubble had burst when they went 4 games without a win, but since then beat Celtic at Celtic Park, beat Rangers at Tynecastle. There was an away win against Falkirk in that time as well. Yes, your team won today. Do you not see Hearts bouncing back from that? No?
Oh, wait a minute. I don't see it.
No?
I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Well, next Saturday, for example, Hearts are at home to Livy. If they contrive to lose that match, I would agree with you. But if Livy lose to Hearts on a day when Celtic are playing Rangers, then the balance is affected yet again. So we're on a game-by-game basis here. But I understand Hibs beat Hearts. Sunshine on Leith gets a real going over at Easter Road. Happiness is a Hibs fan today, but changes day by day.
Well, thank you to Jake. Very quickly, Hugh, how do you sum up everything you saw today?
Incredible. I've got to go and have a look at these games again, because one Rangers fan said it was dire, the other fan said it was the best game he'd seen all season. One Celtic fan told me that if Celtic lose to Rangers and Motherwell, it changes nothing, and then followed by another Celtic fan who said it's not working and it won't work under Wilfred Nancy. Give me a hand here.
Well, what a day, and we certainly won't get through it all in 1 hour on that open line. That's why we're back tomorrow, 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock. You can get your calls in on the weekend's action or anything else that you want to chat about. But that is us for tonight. Thank you very much to Kenny Miller, Cammy Bell and Hugh Keevins. Thank you to you at home for listening in, getting involved on social media and getting involved on the phones as well. I hope you enjoy your festive weekend, and the perfect way to keep on enjoying it is to stick with the GBX. That's next.